Story begins with the protagonist Chen Liyi. He asks why it is so noisy. As he opens his eyes, with half sight he sees fire and thinks someone is holding a bonfire party. He sees women sitting around the fire and thinks it is a camp party, and never thought he would have that kind of bliss with some female taste. He knows he can't miss the chance, and smells a roast of lamb and starts drooling. He then goes towards a hotties and good food, but falls down not realizing he is tied up. He then sees a system pop up, wondering what that is. Two men then come towards Chen Liyi, wondering where the girls are from before, and there is only a bunch of men. He tells them it is all a big misunderstanding and asks where they are. One of them then reaches his hand towards Chen Liyi. Chen Liyi then remembers where he is. 12 hours ago in a desolate land. Chen Liyi drinks water and washes his face. He was accompanying Sister Zhang to buy her favorite accessories the day before, but after taking a nap he woke up there. He wonders if God punished him because he accompanied a rich lady even though it isn't much of a crime. He hears a child talking gibberish and sees 3 people thinking they are cosplaying. He asks them how he can leave the place, but the kid throws the bone he is scratching Chen Liyi's cheek, making it bleed. Chen Liyi says it is only a reality show and to not be so serious and spare him while running away from them while they follow him. Chen Liyi says their footsteps sound like they have fallen behind since he trained sprinting before and normal people can't catch up to him. They then throw another bone at him, scratching his stomach, and realize they are trying to kill him. He gets a system pop-up saying he triggered a main mission. While running, he asks what it means by main mission and realizes it is a system and wonders if he transversed. One of the people threw a bone at him. Looking back, Chen Liyi screams as the bone hits his neck. He remembers he got hit and fainted. The system says he has completed the main mission to survive and wonders what the mission reward is. Looking into his attributes, he sees their pluses and thinks it means it should be increased, and thinks he transversed into some game world. The system asks if he wants to open the survival package. The system gives him a novice rank specialist in all languages and also a map. The system asks if he wants to take out a split mountain axe. The system registers wild survival and basic medical. Chen Liyi then realizes he can understand what the others are saying. This is a primitive world and civilization was yet to be born, and everything is in its starting stage, and the game's motive should be to let him survive in the world and build civilization. He thinks it is a free strategic survival game and will make him prime minister or even God. He adds a point to strength and takes out the axe. He then breaks free of his rope and notes he feels so strong with just one attribute. The leader notices it and says to capture Chen Liyi and to not let him escape, and to kill him now and eat right away. The leader says Chen Liyi can't run away. Chen Liyi calls them dumbass, telling them they are disrespecting God. The leader, clutching his bone, asks what a god is, and they don't know about it. He says the person who seems to have fame must be a leader. Chen Liyi says he was sent from the heavens to dominate them, and since they disrespected him, he will punish them. The leader then jumps in the air, plunging down with his bone. Also, another mission was triggered to deter the primitive people and subdue them to become the leader, and in failure, he will lose his axe. Chen Liyi knows in this era he will have a troublesome time and can't lose it. He blocks the plunge attack with his axe. The impact makes it so the ground starts to break. Chen Liyi never thought the people of the primitive era were so strong. Chen Liyi then pushes up and the leader's bone breaks in half. They both look at the broken bone, and so do the other people. Chen Liyi wonders why he has a bad feeling about this. The leader in horror asks how he dare ruin his weapon, and tells his people to attack him together and tear him apart. They all start to run at him, and Chen Liyi tells him to not be a sore loser, and he agrees to a solo. While running, Chen Liyi asks how it is fair there are so many people trying to bully a 24-year-old man. One of the people runs at Chen Liyi with a stick, and when he tries to attack, Chen Liyi breaks the stick, making him fall. Chen Liyi asks if they're going to stop, and tells them to not go overboard, and if he is forced, he will kill 5 before he dies. Everyone stays quiet, while Chen Liyi notes if the barbarians charge at him together, he will die, and needs to find a way to make them afraid. A woman then tells the people something, and they run away. Chen Liyi wonders what is going on, and why they are so scared, and if he is so scared while a beast is looming behind him. He gets a pop-up telling about a side mission to chase saber-toothed tiger away, and thinks it is confusing after the saber-tooth drools on him. He looks above, and seeing it, he starts to run away. The saber-tooth roars at him and runs behind him. While running away, Chen Liyi wonders why everyone wants to eat him. The saber-tooth breaks through rocks trying to catch Chen Liyi, and he notes he will die if this goes on. He wonders what the side mission is, and how to chase it away since half his body will be gone from one bite. The saber-tooth leaps at him, scratching his back, making him fall over. Chen Liyi thinks he will die if he gets attacked a few more times, and his luck sucks, and seems like he can't escape anymore. He knows he can't fight it head-on, and will use his head, and wonders what he can use against it. Seeing the smoke from fire, he remembers saber-toothed tiger is also a beast, and they are scared of fire. Chen Liyi notes he has only one chance, and tells the saber-tooth he will fight. They run at each other, and Chen Liyi slides on him, but gets kicked in the stomach while running, and decides to never believe the things in the movies again. He thinks plans can help stall for time, and once he reaches the bonfire and runs towards it. He then rolls towards a fire, and takes out a stick of fire, and attacks the saber-tooth with it in the eye as the saber-tooth screams in pain. Chen Liyi tells the saber-tooth it must have been fun chasing him, and hopes it will retreat. Chen Liyi then hears a sound, and wonders if it means a larger monster is coming. Chen Liyi and the saber-tooth both look at the location of sound. The saber-tooth turns into a scared cat and runs away. Chen Liyi tells it to not run away and fight head-on. The side mission is completed, and the system gives him 2 new attribute points. Chen Liyi notes the sound is getting closer and closer and needs to run away. He adds a point to strength and agility as he runs away. With agility and speed, he is much faster and reaches the place where the barbarians are. The leader asks why he wasn't eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. Chen Liyi tells them, raising his axe, says a mere saber-tooth is like a kitty in his eyes and defeated it easily and it ran away. Chen Liyi then hopes they quickly admire him. Chen Liyi gets another main mission since he managed to become the barbarians' leader. It was to assist the people to build their home and establish a tribe and expand it to 50 people. Including the children, his tribe only has 15 people right now. And if he wants to expand the tribe to 50 people in 18 days, he needs to assimilate other tribes. In the upcoming days, he needs to do everything he can to finish the mission. He gets a large-scale resource chest and inheritance rigid, and hopes they won't disappoint him. At night, they all sleep on the ground, and Chen Liyi's stomach starts to growl. He is so hungry he can't sleep at all, and decides to find something to eat first. He is impressed with the people since they are so brave, and don't even have someone keeping watch over them. Chen Liyi remembers the meat was still there last time he saw it. The angel inside of Chen Liyi tells him that the monster which scared Sabertooth might be nearby as well, and the devil inside of them says he can't wait here and die of hunger and needs to take that risk. Chen Liyi decides to not think much and believes he won't encounter the monster. Chen Liyi gets his axe out and goes towards it. He notes it is very quiet but needs to be cautious. He then sees the food and goes towards it, but sees there are their prey too. Since Chen Liyi has become king, he can't care about himself. He takes the rest of them and decides to take them back to share it and leaves. Chen Liyi wonders why he feels like the area is different. He falls into a hole and wonders who dug the damn hole. Chen Liyi then sees his shadow and ponders how in a dense forest the moonlight came from. He then realizes he is in a footprint of a monster. There are more footprints as he looks around. Chen Liyi notes these are much bigger than the saber-toothed tigers. He calls himself stupid, and since he encountered a saber-toothed tiger, he should have realized that this place isn't just a barbaric era. It is an era where history's scariest and deadly creatures lived. The creatures that shouldn't be alive and need to find a safe place quickly and can't let it drag on. As the sun rises, the people are fighting over who keeps the food. Chen Liyi is looking at them disappointed since they don't even know how to make fire, much less about modesty or economy, and need to learn so much. Chen Liyi says the food will be given priority to hunters who hunt today and asks who wants to come with him. The previous leader says they take turns to go hunting, and it was him, a Han and Huang. Sure, and today are Lu Tung, He Zhu Jiao, and Lang Gue Chue. He then says if the king is going, everyone wants to come along, and they all agree excitedly. Chen Liyi looks at the person who caught him yesterday and wonders if he must be afraid he holds a grudge and needs to find a way to cheer him up. Chen Liyi tells him those who want to follow can come along, and he wants to find a place to build them a home. The big girl asks what a home is, and Chen Liyi tells him a home is a place to live with your people and settle down. He gives an example of a tree root and how they provide nourishment and security for the current and future family members. She then hugs Chen Liyi, asking if she can stay with the king. Chen Liyi tells her everyone will be a big family in the future, so they will all stay together anyway. She excitedly says the king is willing to stay with her and have a child with her. Chen Liyi tells her to not speak nonsense. sᴛᴏᴜns asks him where they should build their home. Chen Liyi gathers everyone around and tells them to listen to him. He draws on the ground, telling them they first need to find an open field. It should have mountains in the north and rivers in south. That way they will have water, irrigation, firewood, and stone material. This also establishes a relatively close safe zone and reduces their risk of being attacked. He continues it is best for hunting and harvesting, and secondly, they can also find enough seeds and wood for farming and building houses. He wonders if it is best if it is near the seaside, and the delta can provide fertile land and a favorable environment for learning to navigate the sea in the future. The person who caught Chen Liyi before says if the king mentions the place, he knows where it is. Chen Liyi tells him to bring them there and will be a huge help. He says the place isn't far in the east, but it is best if they don't go there since there is a herd of cows over there that is not easy to mess with. Chen Liyi asks what is there to be afraid of cows, and they can provide rich meat and other products. Chen Liyi says it is settled that the herd of cows is the prey for today. Chen Liyi raises his axe, telling them to grab their weapons, and they will head east towards their new home. Seeker, looking at the area, while wearing a chicken head, tells them environment is normal, as a smell. He tells Chen Liyi the area is safe, so they can get off soon. Chen Liyi tells them to not be nervous, and if they waste more of their time, it will be night soon. He tells them to not worry since he chased the tiger away, and will protect them if it comes back. Seeker, leading the way, says once they reach the top of the mountain, they can see the area where the cow herd gathers. As they reach the top, Seeker warns them to get down, and they are just below, and Chen Liyi tells him he doesn't need to make such a fuss. He wonders if other than the cow herd there are other monsters. As he takes a look, he sees a beautiful open place with a river. Chen Liyi wonders if it is the smell of sea and opens a map to see they are near a sea and the area is suitable to build a city. Seeker then pulls Chen Liyi, requesting him to be quiet, and the black cow herd will discover them. Chen Liyi tells them he will be careful and peeks over the rock. He activates search and finds 3 plants and 2 animals. The green sunflower grass can be used to relieve stomach pain. The dragon vine sap contains mild toxins, which can make them numb and paralyzed. The big tsubaki can provide high-quality wood for hundreds of years. The animals were gray squirrels, which have delicious meat and eat nuts. The pincer wasp sting contains neurotoxin, and more than 5 stings can be fatal. Chen Liyi asks Seeker where the herd of black cows are. Seeker tells him they are in the small forest and are near the river bend. He can take Chen Liyi to have a closer look, which Chen Liyi tells them will go check it out. After half an hour, Seeker leads them to the forest and tells them they have arrived, and if they go any further, they will be discovered. Chen Liyi thinks it is so quiet, so why are they making such a fuss? And it's just a bunch of cows. He wonders how scary they could be. While looking around, he discovers 3 more plants and a small animal, and his map refreshes. Chen Liyi was worried there would be terrifying monsters, but there isn't even a calf nearby, and wonders if the hunters made a mistake. Chen Liyi asks Seeker if he remembered incorrectly, while Seeker is pointing at something while profusely sweating. Chen Liyi, looking in the direction, says the big black tree is moving. Seeker tells him to look above and gets shocked when he does. The black cow moves, and Chen Liyi asks if that is a cow. Stonehead asks if they're going to hunt that thing, and Chen Liyi, for some reason, says they will. Chen Liyi tells them to lay an ambush there and will check the situation alone. They say their king is so cool. Chen Liyi, behind a tree, crying, thinks he doesn't want to let the pitiful tribe people die there. He wonders if he can only rely on his agility attribute. Taking a closer look, its arm is bigger than his whole body and wants to find a little calf to test first. He goes around and stumbles upon one, thinking it is too scary. He stumbles upon another one which was eating and thinks it is rude to disturb someone eating. He finds one which is the smallest one he has found and decides to be polite first. And if it has a docile nature, Chen Liyi wouldn't have to risk his life fighting it. He goes to the cow and asks if the grass is yummy. The cow looks at Chen Liyi, who is laughing, and hopes it won't attack suddenly. The cow then screams at him, alerting the other cows, and they run at him. Chen Liyi tells them he was asking a question, and they don't need to be mad. While running, he says he is sorry and to forgive him. Chen Liyi then swims in the river, telling them to not chase him anymore, and he will leave them alone. They keep following him, and Chen Liyi notes they don't even give up when he doesn't even do anything. Bonehead and the gang, looking at the commotion, says it is as expected of their king. Only he is brave enough to provoke the entire herd and isn't scared at all. They see that Chen Liyi is headed towards a cliff, which is a dead end, and say he must have wanted to take out the entire herd by himself. Chen Liyi then jumps on the cliff going up and manages to hold on to an edge. Looking down, he wonders what is going on since they all hit the cliff, making themselves faint. He notes they can't stop in time and hit the wall, and hopes they all knock themselves out. The remaining cows look up at him screaming. It looks like they are unable to climb such a steep wall, and Chen Liyi thinks they won't come up there. They then start to go back, and Chen Liyi thinks it should be safer now. He tells the cows to wait, and once he teaches his tribe how to hunt and make weapons, he will teach them a lesson. He can't go down right now since the cows are waiting below. He climbs up since he can only do that and record the location. After reaching the top, he finds an even more beautiful area and knows it is the perfect place. He wants to build an empire there and says his journey has just begun. The tribe sees the cows going back, wondering where their king is. Stonebone wonders if he's been crushed and tells him he needs to go and take his amazing axe. While climbing a tree, the axe almost hits a Stonebone. Chen Liyi tells him he is pretty bold for that and asks if he wants him to die. Stonebone asks how it was, and the herd of cows are strong. Chen Liyi tells him he plans to eat the cow meat as a body supplement and asks if he wants to try. Seeker tells him they are no match for that, and even if they defeat them, they can't chew the meat. Chen Liyi angrily asks them if they didn't hear what he said, and they only need to answer his question. They are all being scared of him, saying they want to. Chen Liyi pulls out his axe and tells them he will teach them how to make weapons and to hunt using them. They will come back in 3 days and hunt the cows, and the others will cheer in excitement. Chen Liyi slashes a tree, cutting it, and the tribe members are shocked to see it. Stonebone says the tree can't be eaten, and there is no fruit, then asks why the king broke it. Chen Liyi tells them they need it to make their weapons and to watch him carefully so they can do in the future themselves. He instructs them to first grab a thin branch around 2 meters long and sharpen one side into a pointed edge. After doing that, the system tells him his technology increased by 1, and Chen Liyi notes he can obtain attributes like that too, but doesn't know the use of technology attributes. Chen Liyi then throws a wooden spear at a tree, piercing it, while the others look in amazement. Stonebone says the spear is amazing. The others say they picked wood in the past, but never knew something like that could be made and want to try it. He tells them to calm down, and everyone will get a turn. Chen Liyi gives Stonebone the first spear. He tells the others he will make spears for everyone, and they will begin their training. After, while the tribe members are fighting each other with the wood spear, while some appreciate the spear, Chen Liyi tells Stonebone and the other one to come at him together. Stonebone runs at him, while the other jumps at him. Chen Liyi dodges a plunge, and also manages to dodge Stonebone as well. Using the blunt part, he hits Stonebone in the chin, making him go flying away. The Baldy, rushing at him, says he isn't done yet, and says it is a fight to the death. The others are stunned, looking at what just unfolded. Chen Liyi's spear grazed the Baldy's neck, and told him he would have died if it was the sharp edge. The Baldy falls down, saying his king is like a god and cannot defeat him. Chen Liyi tells him he is relying on strength instead of technique. He tells them the spear's advantage is at its tip, and they have to use the sharp edge to aim at the enemy or prey, and need to practice to get better. He tells them to focus on throwing for now. They need to stand at a set distance and throw the wooden spear at it, and whoever hits the center first will be awarded with 1 more wooden spear. Stonebone goes first and throws a spear. It pierces a stone but completely misses a stone. Chen Liyi compliments his strength, but advises him to work on his accuracy. He calls Seeker next, who throws a spear at Chen Liyi's foot. Chen Liyi asks if his accuracy is only aimed at him, and Seeker tells him he will work hard. After that, many go to shoot the spears, but none hit the mark. Chen Liyi notes they don't have any talent, and he was too hasty. He then sees a spear go and hit the mark perfectly. He asks if the kid with the fur of a wolf did it, which he did, and asks if he won. Chen Liyi tells him he did, and to continue working hard, and gives him the spears. The big girl tells Chen Liyi that a beast is heading there from the forest. Chen Liyi tells everyone to get their spears and prepare to fight, and to be ready since it is coming. Chen Liyi thinks this is good timing, and can use it to give them practical experience. The beast then reveals itself and charges at them, and Chen Liyi says they will eat it tonight. When the beast charges at Chen Liyi, he tells the others to listen to him and circle around. Chen Liyi goes to stab the monster, but the beast tackles him, which he blocks with a spear. Chen Liyi tells him its speed has decreased and is their chance. He tells Stick, whale-bone to throw their spears at him, which they do, and it pierces the skin. As Chen Liyi takes out his spear, they say that the spear has broken, and the monster gasps for air. Stick throws another spear at the beast, taking its attention. It then attacks whale-bone and Stone. Chen Liyi notes Stick does have some skills. Chen Liyi tells Stone-bone it is his turn to throw the spear, which the group and him do. The beast manages to stomp his way to Chen Liyi. Chen Liyi won't let it run away, and takes out his axe. He calls out to Seeker, and Seeker announces his position. He jumps with his spear from the tree, and pierces the beast's head, and it cries in pain. The system alerts Chen Liyi that the monster is berserk now. He tells the others to get away, while Seeker is stuck on top of the beast, and asks for help. Chen Liyi rushes towards the beast, and jumps with his axe and attacks it. The others wonder what happened, and ask if the king is okay. As the smoke dissipates, they see Chen Liyi on top of the beast victoriously. He tells them to stop shouting, and he is there. He says they did really well, and tonight they will eat a hearty meal as the other celebrates. Chen Liyi reaches his hand out towards Seeker, saying he did exceptionally well and is the MVP this time. He tells Stick to follow him on all hunts and will forge him a new weapon as he jumps in excitedly. After that, Stone-bone tells the others that Chen Liyi ran towards a monster and jumped at it and chopped its head off. He tells them it was because of his help Chen Liyi easily killed the crazy pig. Stone-bone then tells Big Big to give him the piece of meat she is holding. Big Big tells him she can't give that one, and it is reserved for the king. She then reaches Chen Liyi, telling him to eat it. He asks if they are all eating it like that. Big Big asks if there is a problem, and Chen Liyi says he remembers they knew how to use fire and asks why they are eating raw meat. She tells him they couldn't preserve the fire source from last time, and Chen Liyi notes it was an accidental find. Fire is the beginning of human civilization and is used to expel wild beasts, create a safer existence, and make diet better, and even the future development cannot be separated from fire. The people were more backward than he thought, and their only understanding of fire is limited to making food delicious, and decided to teach them how to make fire. He tells them to follow him, and he will teach them, for that he can make use of the spearhead from earlier. He gathers everyone around and tells them to add wood shavings and tree fluff to the depression in the trunk, and roll it like that between their hands and be patient. After a while, a fire starts, and the others say the god of fire has descended. One of them screams that he wants the world to know that his king summoned fire for them. Chen Liyi tells him to stop, and it is better to keep a low profile and shut his mouth. They then gather around the fire, and the system awarded him 10 points, and Chen Liyi notes accumulating technology points seems easier than he thought. He still doesn't know what technology points are useful for, and he presses it. It can be used to identify heritage plaques, and each identification will consume 10 points. Chen Liyi remembers heritage plaques being a reward for the settlement Ks. He finds the heritage plaque mysterious, and even required technology points to identify them. Seeker tells Chen Liyi that when they were dividing the meat, he saw traces of nursing on the boar, and he suspects there might be cubs around. So Seeker spent some time searching nearby areas and found them. The system gives him another quest to tame the beasts. Chen Liyi, seeing the number 1, wonders if it is a part of a series of quests. He tells Seeker to go with Big Big and get the cubs back, and to make sure to not hurt them. Big Big runs with Seeker, saying they will be right back. Chen Liyi needs to make the pigsty before they return. He tells Stone-bone to find him after he is done eating, since he has some work to give him. Stonebone asks his crew why the king made them collect so many branches, and the others ask how they should know. They then see others doing something and ask what they are doing. Stick says Chen Liyi called it a grass rope, which is much sturdier than the vines they used before. He smooths out the straw and weaves them by crossing them, and one of them doesn't understand it at all. Chen Liyi tells Stonebone to bring the sticks, which they do, and ask what they should do next. Chen Liyi tells them to pick up the branches and tie the grass ropes around it with at least 5 wooden frames. Then insert the assembled wooden frames into the pits he created and bind them together with the woven grass ropes at the top, so they form the shape of a cage. He continues they should cover them with straw in an orderly manner and manage to make a pigsty. Chen Liyi says they are getting somewhere, and the others run into it, saying they are going in first. He tells them it isn't for them. Big and Seeker return with the cubs. He tells them to put the pigs in the pigsty, and one of the people says how they can give such a good nest to wild boars. More of them come and say they finally built a shelter from wind and shade and want to live in it and cuddle with the king. He tells them to get lost and tells them if they want to live in the pigsty he doesn't mind. But when they build a more comfortable wooden house, they won't have a place anymore. The Baldy asks if there really is a better nest and Wolfbone can live there, but Wolfbone says he won't live there either. Chen Liyi tells Seeker to put them in the pigsty. Stick asks why they are caring for their food. Chen Liyi asks him if he doesn't want to have plenty of meat to eat without going to hunt, which Stick says he does. Chen Liyi says by raising them and letting them have more piglets, they can live the good life they talked about earlier. He says it is okay if they don't understand, and they will learn as they go in the future. The system tells him he completed the side quest, and he opens the rewards. Chen Liyi obtains a bag of salt from the small supply chest. He then learns about more food items. Chen Liyi wonders if it is telling him to become a chef, since the technology isn't developed yet. The system says that completing the recipes can unlock special rewards, and Chen Liyi decides to pay more attention to collecting various ingredients and seasonings in the future. At night, Chen Liyi tells Seeker he has fought the boar and is guarding everyone now. He has worked really hard. Seeker says he caused trouble for the king when he got caught by Stonebone and almost lost his life, and it's only right he endures hardship of today. Chen Liyi asks him if he thinks he is trying to take revenge, since he doesn't hold grudges. Chen Liyi then asks him if there are other tribes around. Seeker tells him they have encountered a few, but they are all unfriendly and look quite different from them. Chen Liyi asks him how many people there are and where they live. Seeker says he knows of 3 different clans nearby: the Coconut Grove clan, the Bay clan, and the Giant Stone clan. Seeker said nearby, but they live quite far, and it takes at least a day and night's journey to reach them. Chen Liyi tells him to say more about them in detail. The Coconut clan is the closest to them and lives in the eastern forest. They need to head south from the territory of those big black bulls to reach them. They have around 30 to 40 people and dislike conflict and are good at long journeys. The leader is a formidable woman. The Bay clan also has around 30 to 40 people residing in the southern coastal area, and each of them look terrifying and engage in internal conflicts. The Giant Stone is the most powerful with the largest population and usually resides on the mountain to the southwest and only occasionally coming down for activities. Seeker has heard that the leader gained divine power and can kill a tiger with his bare hands, and is best to not provoke them. Chen Liyi thinks that the intel is accurate and the Coconut Grove clan would be the most ideal as the first target for assimilation. With the group of oddities, taking them head-on won't work and needs to find a peaceful way to conquer them. Chen Liyi wonders why it feels cold all of a sudden, and Big comes from behind him, saying he hasn't slept yet, and if he wants to do something exciting with her. Chen Liyi tells her to please don't. Big, acting like a cat, asks Chen Liyi if she looks like a kitty. Chen Liyi nervously tells her she looks like a saber-tooth. He grabs Seeker and runs away, saying Seeker wants his help, and will see her later, and Big gets Saf. After that, Seeker and Chen Liyi are on a tree, and Seeker tells him the people are here. Chen Liyi notices the man chasing a dodo bird trying to kill it. He manages to catch it. After waiting all night, the people from the Bay clan finally arrived. One of the people from the clan tells the other one to hand it over or he will rip the other apart. Chen Liyi says they are a bunch of brawny but simple-minded fellows. Chen Liyi tells Seeker if they can absorb them, their numbers will increase, but they can also secure resources like dodo birds. Seeker tells Chen Liyi their numbers aren't even half of the Bei clan and can't win a fight. Chen Liyi knows it is a problem, but if they had strong weapons they could win. But before dealing with that clan, they need to eliminate the herd of black bulls and use the new resources to craft even more powerful weapons and equipment. Chen Liyi tells Seeker they will go back now since there is a lot that needs to be done. Back at their tribe, as they return, everyone is excited that Chen Liyi is back. Stonebone says they searched all over the place and thought Chen Liyi had abandoned them. Chen Liyi apologizes for making them worry and says they have a lot to do. He tells Stonebone to continue training with the wooden spears. Stick is in charge of teaching them throwing skills and only has one day to improve them as much as possible. Chen Liyi sighs since time is pressing on them. Big tells Chen Liyi that the leaves are most comfortable when wiping after the deed. Chen Liyi tells her to gather all the ladies since he needs hands to sharpen the wooden spears. He tells her to first pick some rocks and will teach them how to make stone axes. She says she will bring the sisters right away. Big brings over a rock to Chen Liyi and asks if it is good. Chen Liyi tells her it is good and will be perfect as a whetstone. He teaches them to first rub a chunk of stone on the whetstone until they obtain a sharp edge, then to tie onto a wooden stick with grass rope, and the stone axe is made. They all are impressed, saying their king is a deity. Chen Liyi gains 1 technology point since he invented the stone grinding skill. Chen Liyi finds it stingy that making fire gave him 10, but crafting gave him 1. He tells them to do as he said, and show him what they made when they are done. Big tells Chen Liyi that she has made 1, and to check it. Chen Liyi says she made a dual-edged axe and is quite talented. Big remembered that the Chen Liyi axe looked like that, and made it. The system then pops up saying he activated the hidden feature talent discovery. He didn't know there were hidden features. As he looked at Big, it said Tool Builder. Chen Liyi notes that talent discovery can reveal everyone's unique talents. Big asks why he keeps staring at her. Chen Liyi tells the girls to make a stone axe to that standard, but first to make as many wooden spears as possible. They do it all day and manage to make 30 spears. Chen Liyi tells Big she is amazing since more than half of these were made by her. Chen Liyi tells her she has talent in this area. Looking at Big's hands, Chen Liyi says she has worked hard today. Big tells him as long as it helps the king, she doesn't mind. The other ladies, showing their hands, say their hands are injured too and if he doesn't care about them. Chen Liyi says they have all worked hard too and one of them asks him to blow on it. Chen Liyi runs away telling them the wooden spears are enough and to take a break and we'll go look at the guys practice. That scared Chen Liyi and then he notices a huge log coming at him which he ducks from. Chen Liyi says they are practicing quite seriously and are making moving targets. Stick says Yellowstone and Wolfbone Hammer's team is the winner and to reset the wooden target and other team to be ready. Stick notices Chen Liyi is there and Chen Liyi asks how the practice is going. Stick tells him everyone made significant progress and can easily hit the moving targets. He says although Blackboard Tusk has great strength, he struggles to grasp the timing for throws and can only unleash his potential when teamed with Stonebone. He reports Green Vine may not talk much, but practices diligently and is the first to master the technique. When Yellowstone and Wolfbone Hammer form a team, they can alternate throwing 4 wooden spears in a short time and all hit the target, scoring the highest each time. Chen Liyi says it seems like they will be able to deal with the Black Bulls tomorrow. Stick asks if he is sure and Chen Liyi tells him to be safe, they will bring that secret weapon as well. Stick is confused by that. At night, Chen Liyi is still crafting weapons, and after working all night, he finished it. Before night, Chen Liyi told Stonebone and the others to look carefully and to collect as much of the black leaves as they could. He warns them if they have wounds in their hands and to make sure they don't touch the wounds with the leaves. The system tells them it is a natural paralyzing drug and the extract of the leaves can paralyze the monsters. Big tells Chen Liyi that she has brought all the wooden spears and asks him why he dug a shallow pit in the stone. He tells her it is a stone mortar and will soon know what it is for. Making the stone mortar also gave him one technology point. He tells Big Big to call all the women and to use the stone club to crush the green herbs in the pits and then apply the sap to the tips of the wooden spears. Wolfbone asks what they should do since they want to play with clubs too. Chen Liyi tells them to eat and rest, and they will be needed in the battle later. As the sun sets, Chen Liyi is just sitting on a tree eating. Like he expected, the grilled meat tastes better with salt. Big Big tells Chen Liyi it is ready and throws the spear at him. He tells them it's time. He instructs the ladies to stay there and guard and protect the children, and the rest to bring their weapons and follow him up the mountain. He raises his axe and tells them they will show the monsters what they are capable of. They all are at the top of the mountain, and one of them asks Stonebone if their king will act as bait alone. Stonebone tells him the king is powerful, so there will be no danger, and to keep a close eye ahead. Seeker tells him to get ready, and a monster is near the river bay. Stone tells the two ladies to make sure to hand the wooden spears in time, especially for Stick to not let him run out of weapons. He tells them their king is taking such so they can't afford to make any mistakes. 10 minutes ago, Chen Liyi was hiding in a bush while inspecting the bulls. He tells himself it should be safe to escape to Stone Mountain based on his experience. Chen Liyi decides to be cautious and to lure a small one first, and he gets closer to it. Chen Liyi cannot trip over anything or his life will be in danger. He throws a rock at it and tells it that he is a pure love gang and to come and beat him up. He calls them all fools. 2 other bulls reveal themselves and all 3 run at Chen Liyi. He then runs away with the 3 of them chasing him. He tells Stonebone to aim for the first black bull and to focus their attack on it. All of them raise their weapons, and on Stonebone's command, they throw the spears at the black bull. As Chen Liyi climbs the cliff, the hurt black bull is still following him. Stick says it is his turn and throws his spear, which hits it on the neck, and it falls down. More bulls come and hit the cliff, where Chen Liyi is barely hanging. The rock he was holding on to falls off, but Chen Liyi gets caught by Stonebone. Chen Liyi tells them to keep attacking, since they have to kill it while it is weak. Stonebone tells them to continue their attacks and aim for the one on the left. He sees Stonebone has a talent for leading people since he is still instructing them on what to do, and it seems like he is worth cultivating into a capable leader. Stonebone tells Chen Liyi the bulls seem off. Chen Liyi didn't expect the tranquilizer to take effect so quickly, and he can't go berserk now. Seeker tells him the other black bulls are charging over. They are faster than Chen Liyi anticipated, and were probably altered by the noise. He tells the others to not panic, and everything is according to his plans. He instructs them to focus on dealing with the 3 bulls below and not let them escape. Chen Liyi tells them the poison has slowed their movements and to aim at their hind legs to not let them escape. They all throw the spears at the bulls. Chen Liyi tells them to stop, and Stonebone tells them it isn't the time to be soft-hearted, and they have to deal with them before the other bulls arrive. Chen Liyi asks how many spears they have, and Big Big tells him they still have 28 left. He asks Seeker how many bulls are arriving, and Seeker tells about 20. This is why he told them to stop, since the number of spears they have is limited. Stick asks if they give up, want their effort with the 3 black bulls be wasted. Chen Liyi tells him that is just a part of the plan, and he never intended to face the entire herd with a few of them. And from the beginning, his goal was to take down their boss. Chen Liyi tells them after that the remaining black bulls will scatter and flee, but to lure out the boss they need bait, which is why he needs the 3 alive. They cannot let them escape, but Chen Liyi's original plan only involved using 1 black bull as bait, but they dealt with 2 extra bulls, so they have used up a lot of spears. Seeker sees the leader of the black bulls, and it looks like a giant monster. The leader of the bulls yell at them, and the ground under them cracks. Seeker says they are coming, and the bulls ram the cliff. The others ask if the bulls have gone mad. Chen Liyi says it seems like the big black bull doesn't intend to personally deal with them, and is commanding from afar. They then hear another sound and see the stone wall is collapsing. Chen Liyi tells them to hurry back and find cover. Big Big then falls off the cliff to the ground. He tells Yellowstone to come with him down the cliff, and they slide down to where Big Big is. Others also come down. and Chen Liyi tells Big Big to not worry, and they will take care of the bulls. The others ask if they should go and fight them. Yellowstone tells him to not act recklessly and listen to the king's command. Chen Liyi tells them to be careful and cover each other. The boss of the Black Bulls seems like it may have seen through his trap, and he didn't expect it to be so intelligent. Stonebone tells everyone to grab their weapons and get down to protect the king. Chen Liyi tells Stonebone and the others to stay up there and to focus their attacks on the ones that come first. The bulls rush at the people on the ground. They then throw a poisonous spear at one of them, and Chen Liyi rushes with his axe and slashes them away. When the bull tries to attack Chen Liyi, Green Vine grabs him away. The others are using their spears to hold. Yellowstone holds the bull's horn, and another one throws a spear at it. Stonebone tells them to focus their fire now, and they all hit the fallen bulls. The other bulls then start to retreat. Chen Liyi wonders if the herd received the command to back off, and it seems like the big guy finally decided to enter the battle. It starts to rain, and the boss of the bulls comes forward to Chen Liyi. As the bull inhales, Chen Liyi tells the others to get away quickly. The bull shoots a beam which they dodge. The beam then goes up the cliff. As it hits it, Chen Liyi wonders what that attack is, a sound wave or a bull's roar. It was a ruthless show of power which shattered their morale with a single move. Chen Liyi tells them he will attract its attention and for them to take Big Big and head north. He tells the people above to wait for his signal. Chen Liyi tells the bull he will be its opponent. The bull then runs at Chen Liyi, which he blocks with his axe. After a bit of struggling, the bull manages to push Chen Liyi away a bit. It then jumps at Chen Liyi, and he notices the damage it did to the cliff and goes there. He runs towards a cliff, and the bull hits the cliff. Everyone screams out to Chen Liyi in concern, and the bull heads their way. They then prepare for a battle, and even in death they will poke its eyes out. From the cliff an axe comes flying, hitting the bull. Chen Liyi says he needs to thank the big guy because of the trenches he blasted. He was able to hide in a critical moment. Despite that, Chen Liyi is still injured heavily. Chen Liyi tells Stonebone to be ready and wait for his command. Chen Liyi rushes at the bull, distracting it. The others then run over to the bull and attack it while distracted. The bull manages to stab one of them with his horn, and he says they will take it down no matter what. It grabs a green vine, and Chen Liyi jumps at the bull and kicks it away. The bull then releases its sound wave on the ground, which he dodges. It almost hits Big Big, but before that happens, Chen Liyi slashes its head away and slashes its shoulder. He tells Stonebone and Stick to do it. Stonebone tells the others to aim at the wound and shoot, which they do, and they hit the wound, which makes the bull fall down. Everyone starts to celebrate, seeing the bull fall, saying they won. Chen Liyi notes something isn't right and wonders what the others are waiting for. The leader of the bulls then stands up and punches Chen Liyi away. It then slams its hand on the ground, making the others fall down. It also releases a sound wave on the cliff. Chen Liyi stands up thinking he was careless. The bull pulls the spear from its wound and throws it at Chen Liyi. Chen Liyi wonders if it is really going to end like that, and if he will die like that. Big Big then runs over to him and takes the spear to the chest of Chen Liyi's horror. Looking at her dying body, Chen Liyi remembers the times he had with her, with the bull looming over him. Chen Liyi angrily asks how dare it do that. The system warns him of power overload, and Chen Liyi tells it they will go to hell together and slashes it so hard, the bull is torn in half. Chen Liyi, after killing the leader, looks at the other bulls asking who will come next. The bulls look at each other wondering who will go next, and Chen Liyi yells at them to die. The bulls then scatter away, afraid of Chen Liyi. Chen Liyi takes support from his axe and his body starts to crack. The system tells him his life is in danger and he coughs blood. As he sees the others, he falls unconscious as he hears to retrieve hemostatic ointment. As Chen Liyi wakes up, he is laying on Ayu's lap. He asks if they are in the pigsty. Ayu tells him they aren't in one, and after the bulls were driven away, they moved to this new place. The shed was built for him. Ayu tells him to lie down, and she will go tell everyone. Chen Liyi tells her to wait. Ayu asks if he has any command for her. He asks how Big Big and Green Vine are. Ayu tells him they found Green Vine in his last breath, but he recovered, and after waking up he stood outside guarding him. She tells him Big Big's injuries are more serious, but because of the king's divine medicine, as long as she rests she will be fine. Chen Liyi says it is good everyone is fine, and Ayu tells him everyone's injuries have stabilized over the past 4 days. Chen Liyi asks if it has been 4 days already, and she confirms it. The system then pops up, making Chen Liyi think he has no time to rest and must seize every moment, while Ayu thinks Chen Liyi always stares into space for some reason. As Chen Liyi stands up, he says it hurts, and Ayu tells him to rest. Chen Liyi tells her to call Stonebone immediately and to tell him that he has awoken and nothing else. Ayu then leaves to call Stonebone. Chen Liyi has no combat or deterrent power now, and if the secret gets out, it's not a matter of failing the mission. While looking at the map, Chen Liyi finds it fortunate that after driving away the bulls, the tribe immediately moved there. They need to build a fence quickly and later replace it with wooden walls, and plans where the planting areas and breeding areas should be. Stonebone is there, and Chen Liyi tells them to tell Stonebone to listen from outside. Stonebone says it is really great to hear Chen Liyi is okay. Chen Liyi tells Stonebone he has an important task for him and to get close and listen carefully. Stone leans his head on the wall and tells that the king can rest assured, and after listening to him, Stonebone goes to do it. Chen Liyi notes it isn't enough, and they can't make the same mistake as hunting bulls, and must ensure everything is foolproof. Chen Liyi tells Green Vine he has something he needs to do. Chen Liyi instructs him to go and get the bones and hides of the Black Bull King, and make sure they are as intact as possible. Chen Liyi then hands him his axe to Green Vine's surprise, since they treat it as the king's divine artifact. Green Vine says he will ensure the task is completed. Ayu tells him he should rest now. Chen Liyi says he cannot but has something to discuss with her, and because there is no one outside she can come in. Chen Liyi tells her he sent them away to give her an important mission. She takes off her clothes and says she is ready. Chen Liyi tells her she misunderstood and to put her clothes back on. After that, she puts her clothes back on, and Chen Liyi tells her he needs her help to stage a play. He plans to send someone to negotiate with the Coconut Grove clan, and the goal is to persuade them to join them and follow his command. Ayu says they have more people, and if they would agree to that. Chen Liyi tells her that is why they need to show them their strength and convince them that joining is the right choice. There are 2 reasons he chose her for the task. First, because they are led by a female, so she can communicate more effectively. And second, is that she knows Chen Liyi's current condition, and his all-out attack did catastrophic damage. Although the ointment prevented it from worsening, it still needs something better to treat it. Ayu asks if they are going to scare the Coconut Grove clan with a bluff, and says she knows what she needs to do. Seeker and Ayu are on the way to the Coconut Grove clan. Seeker tells her they are almost there. He warns her even though the Coconut Grove clan dislikes conflict, they shouldn't provoke them at this time. Ayu tells him to lead the way and leave the rest to her. Seeker says the king is really biased to make such beautiful clothes for her. Through the bushes, Seeker tells Ayu they are over there. They are at a waterfall where the people of the clan are bathing. Ayu says Seeker is exceptionally familiar with the place. Seeker nervously laughs and tells her to look at the green-haired girl, since she is the one they are looking for, the queen of the Coconut Grove. Seeker warns her to not be deceived by her appearance, because she has eaten several of her suitors. Ayu tells him there is no way that's true, and from behind them, members of the clan approach them. They take the 2 to the queen, saying they caught the 2 sneaking around, and claim to be some excrement, and have come to see her. Seeker says they are not excrement, but ambassadors, which was bestowed upon them by the king. Looking at Ayu, the queen says she is very inelegant and the women stay as slaves. Men feed the fish, and that piece of meat will serve as dinner for a few days. One of the people pulls Seeker away, telling Ayu to save him. Ayu says she thought the queen of the Coconut Grove clan would be more farsighted, but she was mistaken, and the mountain of meat they were planning to give will be going to the Bay clan now. The queen tells them to wait a moment, and for Ayu to finish talking. The queen asks if she said she had a mountain of meat. Ayu says there is a group of large black bulls living near the northern river. The queen asks if they want to join forces with the Coconut Grove clan, and hunt the black bull herd. Ayu tells her to not underestimate them, and the black bulls were no match for them, and the land near the river now belongs to them. The other members think she is over-exaggerating, since they almost got trampled by the herd before. The queen stands up and asks Ayu if she knows the fate of those who lie to her. Ayu says even the largest of the black bull was slaughtered by the Kung, and if she doesn't believe them to come and see for herself. One of them tells her it might be a trap. Ayu tells them their mighty king could have easily toppled their entire clan if he wished to. Seeker confirms it, saying that they aren't there to attack them, but give them gifts and deliver the king's invitation. Ayu mocks the queen, saying if she lacks the courage herself, she can send someone to retrieve it. The queen tells her she better not be playing any tricks. Seeker and Ayu lead the way for the Coconut Grave clan, and Seeker tells the others that they are back. Stonebone tells him to not make a big fuss and help build the houses, and the king is waiting near the riverbank. One of the members of the Coconut clan asks the queen what houses are. Ayu says they are at the place, and tells the king the people from the Coconut Grove clan are there. The queen senses a strong killing intent from in there, and looking at him, she feels as if she is facing an ancient beast. Chen Liyi tells Ayu she did good, and there is a thud sound from a hut. Big Big is holding Baldy down, and Green Vine tells him the king ordered the injured people to hide there, so as to not be noticed and be more careful. The Baldy says he was just curious what the queen looks like. Chen Liyi says he is glad she accepted his invitation and made the trip to his land. One of them asks where the meat he was talking about is. Chen Liyi says it is just around the shed they can take as much as they want as long as they can carry it away. They see the huge stacks of bulls and go towards it where they are cutting the meat. They tell the Coconut clan theirs is the one next. One of the girls tries to stab into the meat with a bone, and the others start to laugh. They ask what's so funny, and they must have been lucky to catch the bulls during their dispute. He asks what they said and if they're trying to pick a fight. Chen Liyi's axe then comes flying at them, shocking them. The queen wonders what kind of weapon that is, since it is far superior than their ironwood branches and bone knives. Chen Liyi tells them to use his axe to divide some of the meat for them. He tells Chen Liyi that they provoke first, and Chen Liyi tells them to just follow his order. He says that they are lucky. Chen Liyi tells the queen he will make sure that they can take the meat away safely. He will keep his word since that is his principle. The queen calls him elegant and asks how he conquered the herd of bulls. Chen Liyi tells her it depends on future developments, whether it's mutual understanding or personal experience. Chen Liyi tells her to call it a day and to take the meat and leave. The queen calls him a cold-hearted, stinky man. That last throw Chen Liyi put out was too much for a show-off, and if it weren't for the bull leather bandage, his wound would start bleeding again. He notices he is bleeding again, and covers it while Ayu tells the queen they have spare axes that they can give. Ayu tells her, although they can't compare with Chen Liyi's axe, they are strong enough to cut open the bull skin and slice the meat. The queen tells Ayu those inelegant weapons are not suitable for them. She tells Chen Liyi that they also have powerful weapons they haven't shown yet, and hopes they don't have to turn them someday. She tells the others to take what they can and to head back. Ayu tells them if that isn't enough, they can come back for more later, but the earlier the better, since the other clans would also be given a share. As they leave, Ayu tells them they are welcome to come again. After they reach further, the queen asks how the investigation went. Some people then come out of nowhere and tell her that they are building something called a house. Inside one there may be some boars, since they occasionally heard the growls. The queen asks if they actually built such a good dwelling for boars. She continues the report, saying that they have mastered the power of the fire god, which the others find impossible. She says they saw them create fire out of thin air to roast the meat to the queen's surprise. The queen tells them to dawdle and say what is on their mind. She says they only had a little over 10 people in total, including a few children and an old man, and suspects they intentionally concealed their population. The queen asks why they didn't search more carefully. She says because all the nearby trees were cut down, they couldn't risk exposing themselves, so could only observe from a distance. The queen, walking away, takes out her whips and hits them, warning them if they dared to make excuses next time, it won't be as simple as whipping. They bow down, saying they thank the queen for bashing them. Back in the hut, Chen Liyi looks at his wound, and IU is concerned about it. Chen Liyi tells her it is alright and is much more stable. He tells her the loop of bull leather roll has strong regenerative properties and should gradually heal the wounds. IU says that is a relief, and Chen Liyi notices her talent is eloquence. As he expected, it is a rare talent, since he was staring blankly. IU says compared to the Queen of Coconut Grove, he must prefer her. Chen Liyi tells her to not misunderstand. He tells her to be quiet since someone may be listening from outside, and to let the guys who are hiding come out. He tells her after he stops the bleeding, she needs to assist him back to continue recovering. He leaves the cleaning of bloodstains on the throne to her, and will have Green Vine guard the entrance until then and not let anyone to approach. IU winks at Chen Liyi saying he looks so cool just now, and Chen Liyi just turns away bashfully. After going outside, Chen Liyi asks Seeker how it was. Seeker says he truly is amazing since the Coconut Grove clan did set up observation posts around their camp as he expected. He asks about the other task he was assigned. Seeker says everything is done as he ordered and saw what they wanted them to see and didn't see what they shouldn't. Chen Liyi sighs, saying Seeker has worked very hard these days. Seeker says it isn't hard at all and will now go help Stonebone and the others to build houses. IU asks Chen Liyi if the Coconut Grove clan will join them voluntarily. Chen Liyi tells her it is too early to say now, and the plan is only halfway done. He says when they come next time, they can proceed with the second half of the plan. While laying down, Chen Liyi says he is so tired. Looking at the system, he sees he only has 1 day left, and with such little time, he doesn't have enough time for recovering from injuries. He opens the warehouse and sees he has a small bag of salt and a hemostatic ointment. The system says his mountain cleaving axe has been upgraded to the axe of Pangu with new details, and Chen Liyi wonders what is going on. He wonders when his mountain axe will turn into the axe of Pangu. He wonders if the axe actually became a divine artifact, and how he overlooked it when he handed it to a Green Vine in the morning. He then summons the axe and sees it as blood sacrifice, and thinks it probably happened when he got injured in battle. From the description, Chen Liyi thinks creating the world must be timed correctly, not early or late, and if not, it wouldn't be as simple as a scar in his arm. Chen Liyi didn't expect the weapon to evolve. He wonders if there are any other weapons that also have hidden skills and attributes. He decides to forget about it since the activation condition will be different for each, so he leaves it to fate, and with just the axe he almost gets killed. He checks the remaining items, but the only thing that can come in handy is the hemostatic ointment, but there is enough for only one use. Otherwise, he could definitely swing the ace and hunt all the nearby creatures. Chen Liyi notes the meat they took should be enough for over 30 people for 2 days. Since time is limited, he decides to rely on Seeker for now. Chen Liyi tells Green Vine to bring Seeker there since he has a mission. Seeker then arrives, and Chen Liyi asks him if he remembers those black bulls they drove away. He gives Seeker 2 days to find them and report back as soon as possible. Seeker then goes right away. Chen Liyi says everyone has been working hard during this time and decides to prepare a small gift for everyone in those 2 days. After 2 days, only 9 days remain for the quest. Chen Liyi thinks today should be about right, and he had created a stone spearhead, bullhorn water flask, and bone whistle, which gave him 1 tech point each. Chen Liyi will give the whistle to Stonebone, so it will be convenient for him to command in battles or during hunting. The stone spearheads can enhance the killing power of wooden spears, and if they end up in a conflict with the Coconut Grove clan, it will increase their chance of victory. The bullhorn water flask is for Seeker, and he is sure he will like it. IU tells Chen Liyi that there is good news and their houses are built. Chen Liyi tells her to calm down, and they will go to see it. IU tells him to put the cloak on first, since he isn't feeling well. IU helps him since he is already working hard, and to leave the small task to her. They then go to take a look at it. One of them announces that the king is there. Stonebone tells him to look at the houses they built according to his instructions. Chen Liyi then looks at it, and Stonebone says it looks cool. Chen Liyi says it is okay. Everyone starts to celebrate since they have houses and won't have to live in caves or search for branches. Stonebone says after putting the straw door in place it will be done. After he puts the door, Chen Liyi gains 10 tech points since he built a wooden house. When he thinks about it, the tribe has changed a lot since he arrived, and before they were like wild beasts drinking blood and living off fur. Now the changes in their behavior and intelligence is more evident, and he wonders if this change is brought about by the system like a kind of accelerated evolution. Chen Liyi tells Ayu to tell him as soon as Seeker returns. He says they should go back now and continue building more houses since many more people will come live there soon. Seeker comes running telling Chen Liyi that he has found them, and as he gasps for air, Chen Liyi tells him he did well. He can finally move on to the second half of their plan, and they have no time to waste and tells Seeker to follow him. He calls sᴛᴏᴜᴘ saying he needs to talk. Chen Liyi tells him his plans and asks if they have any questions. sᴛᴏᴜᴘ says the plan is really risky and if it will work. Seeker says he can handle the task, and when the time comes, he just needs to lead the others to cooperate with him. Chen Liyi gives him the whistle to issue commands. He says he has a gift for Seeker too, which he will give after the mission. Chen Liyi tells them to remember, as soon as they receive his signal, to act according to plan immediately. Chen Liyi's manpower has stretched really thin and has no choice but to assign some tasks to the injured as well. Chen Liyi tells Ayu to have big and yellow stone build a larger bonfire in front of the wooden house, but to not light it yet. She asks if it is for the guests that are about to arrive, which Chen Liyi confirms. Chen Liyi says to himself that they need to now wait and see if the bait they set 2 days ago will lure a big fish. One of the members notices a lot of people coming from a forest and sees it is the Coconut Grove clan. She then, in panic, runs towards Chen Liyi's place and calls out to him. Inside, Ayu is tending to Chen Liyi, telling him his wounds have healed quite well, but should take it easy for a few more days. Chen Liyi finds it really nice to be taken care of like that, and imagines about it once he subdues the Coconut Grove clan. He then hears that the Coconut Grove clan is back. Chen Liyi tells Ayu to bring the fish to him. Ayu tells the queen it is nice to see her again, and looks even more beautiful than the last time. She tells him to go to the palace, since the king is waiting for them. The queen is surprised to see that since last time they saw it, it was a shed and now it's a wooden house, and wonders how they did it. The queen mocking asks if their king is too scared to come out and see her. She tells Ayu they don't wish to disturb them in the future, which is why they will take more meat this time. She says her subordinates also wanted to know their neighbors, which is why they brought so many people, and says she hopes they didn't scare them. Ayu tells them Chen Liyi had already instructed them to prepare 40 portions of meat in advance and can go take it directly. Ayu then, mocking her, says it seems like she didn't bring 40 people. The queen asks if she is concerned about her clan, and she should join their clan to serve her. Ayu tells her she has long been conquered by the king. She tells them where the meat is and can take it all. She tells the queen they are welcome to eat as much as they can here, which is the king's suggestion. She continues if they have any difficulty cutting the meat. She can ask their warriors to help, which the queen promptly declines. She orders her people to take the meat, while Ayu invites her to the house. Sitting on his throne, Chen Liyi welcomes them to his humble dwelling. Looking around, the queen tells Chen Liyi that his palace looks quite decent. Chen Liyi notes that the queen is quite interested in the houses and to entice her more. He tells her it is only a temporary house, and once they build the real place, this place would be for the tribe. She puts her hands on her whip and asks if he lets his tribe live in this kind of place. He says he will provide them with better stone houses later on. The queen then uses her whip to trap Chen Liyi in it as she stands over him. Chen Liyi asks her what she is doing. The queen tells him no one understands men better than her and has plenty of ways to make him willingly offer strange things to her. She thinks it will be easy to take Chen Liyi down, while he is thinking this is very stimulating. He asks her if she thinks he will submit like that, and that he has a backup plan. He, in fact, does not have a backup plan at all, and because his injuries haven't healed fully, having a direct fight will be tough. Ayu comes in telling them that everything is ready, and they can start the feast. Ayu tells Chen Liyi he shouldn't be doing that as the queen releases her grip. Chen Liyi says that they are done talking as well, and it is a good time to go out for a barbecue. He asks Ayu if they have lit the bonfire, which they have. The queen wonders if he truly had a backup plan, or is simply not afraid of death, and compared to the sprouts in her clan, he is different. Outside, some people call out the queen, telling her they have grilled the meat for her. Chen Liyi hands over salt to Ayu, telling her to share it with everyone. Ayu tells them to sprinkle a little on the meat to enhance the flavor. The queen asks what they are sprinkling, and Ahu tells her she doesn't have to eat it if she is afraid. Everyone around her says it is a real delicacy. Chen Liyi wants him to eat as much as they like since it gives more time for Seeker and Stonebone, while the queen is enthralled by the taste of the food. In another place, Wolfbone asks Stonebone if they already have more meat than they can finish. Why are they hunting the black bulls again? Stonebone tells him to follow his command later. Stonebone sees the smoke and says that is the signal as he uses his whistle. Some others from the bushes throw their spears at the bulls. Stonebone tells Seeker the herd is charging towards him and is their best chance to find the new leader. Seeker tells him to not worry, since he already has found it. He jumps from his tree and stabs it on the neck with a spear. He celebrates, saying he did it, and the bull is his. While the bulls are running around, Seeker, holding on to it, tells himself to not be afraid. Seeker tells it that it can't escape, and their former leader was just their prey. Stick says the herd is deviating to the east. Stonebone takes out his whistle to signal Seeker and blows it. Seeker realizes that the direction is wrong and uses his spears to turn the bull to the right. Eating too much will make the queen fat, but it is too delicious for her. Chen Liyi thinks it is about time and notices something. One of the ones eating with the queen says one of the defenders who stayed behind in the clan came there. She tells the queen that something bad has happened and falls flat on her face. The queen asks her why she is so flustered and what is going on. She tells the queen a group of mad black bulls stormed in their camp, wreaking havoc everywhere, and their defenders are no match. The queen then instantly tells the others to get moving to make the bulls pay. She always kept their distance from the bulls and wondered what happened. At their camp, the bulls are making a disaster of the place, and the defenders climb the trees, saying to use the slingshots to attack them. They use their slingshots, but it doesn't do anything to them. They order to engage in melee combat and rescue their sisters below. They can't even attack the bulls without them being thrown away by the bulls. One of the bulls tries to punch one of the girls in the ground, but there is a snap sound. The queen managed to grab its arm by using her whip. She tells the bull to fight her instead, as she makes the bull fly around in circles with her whip. The bull gains its composure, then runs at the queen, and the queen realizes it is fast. The bull then attacks the queen, making the queen go flying, but gets caught by someone. She says that it hurts, and as she opens her eyes, she sees Chen Liyi. Chen Liyi asks her if she is okay, and she says she is fine. He puts her to the ground and tells her to stand back, and they will handle the rest. While the culprits behind the incident play it off while being guilty, the queen tells them that they rushed out of nowhere and to be careful. Chen Liyi, looking at the leader of the bulls, asks if they forgot the pain once the scars healed. The bulls scream at him, and Chen Liyi wonders if it didn't recognize him, and if his leather cloak made from the Black Bull King's hide is not intimidating enough. As the bull starts to retreat, Chen Liyi sighs in relief, thinking the intimidation tactic is working. He points his axe, saying it is a coincidence they met again, and that the new king seems much weaker than the previous one. He continues by saying since it is already there, it can stay. Stonebone and his team rush at them. Seeker then jumps on Stonebone's hands and climbs on the bull and starts to ride it. Chen Liyi says they should go now, but the queen tells him that the herd hasn't dispersed and she still has to fight. He tells her to stop as she grabs her hand. He tells her she can't handle the monsters and he didn't bring many people, so she will be going to her death. He tells her to bring her people to his land, so she can heal her wounds and wait for the right time to reclaim the place later. He will provide enough houses, food, and ensure their safety. He tells her to look at the others. They are in no condition to fight. Ayu asks her if she would rather watch them sacrifice themselves in vain. The queen, thinking for a while, commands her clan to help the wounded and retreat to the north. Everyone retreats and follows Chen Liyi while the injured go first. Chen Liyi tells Ayu he will leave the queen with her to lead them back to the campsite and Stonebone, and he will stay behind to buy them some time. Ayu tells him to stay safe. Stonebone and Stick are holding back the bulls. People from the Coconut Grove clan come and tell her sisters to fight back. Stonebone tells them they have already defeated these monsters previously, and if they are afraid, it is better for them to retreat with the others, but they go on in Fing. Chen Liyi tells Stonebone they are very courageous and they shouldn't fall behind. Everyone then charges at the bulls. During sunset at the campsite, one of them asks what happened to the king. Ayu tells her the king and Stonebone stayed behind, and there are quite a few people there, so they came back first and need somewhere to rest. She points at the houses they can stay in. She sighs, thinking if it weren't for Big Big and the others who worked hard despite their injuries to quickly build the houses, they would have nowhere to put them all in. She instructs the uninjured to come with her to get some food and water. Ayu tells the queen for now they will settle everyone in the houses there, and food and safety are guaranteed. Ayu will take care of the others and tell the queen to rest and recuperate. The queen thanks her. Ayu notes everything went smoothly. Chen Liyi told her before that the focus of the entire plan is to subdue the Coconut Grove clan with the least cost. They can't afford any more injuries after finishing a tough battle. Like Ayu expected of the king, the plan is flawless and only one step remains. The next day, Big Big asks Yellowstone if everything went well last night. He tells her it went well and nothing much happened. Big Big heads over to the queen's tent and her guard wonders why it is cloudy suddenly. Big Big greets the guard and the guard gets scared and asks her what she wants. Big Big tells her that the king has invited their queen to the palace to discuss something important. In his house, Chen Liyi is looking at the system and sees only 8 days remaining for the main quest. He hears his door knocking, and Ayu tells him that the queen is there. The queen tells him Ayu told her about the tribe merger and her answer is no. She tells him just because their clan is temporarily weakened he can't force her. Chen Liyi stands up, telling her he isn't forcing her, but proposing a trade. As he gets closer, he tells her he can teach them to build houses, make weapons and fire-making, and in exchange their clan needs to merge with his clan. He tells her to accept his rule and stay under his protection. He gets even closer, telling her something requires more than courage, and she is more aware of the brutality of the Bay clan and the strength of the Giant Stone clan than he is. Chen Liyi continues, saying they are akin to a wounded fawn, and soon the beast will follow the scent of their blood and hunt her down. The queen says she knows that, but it isn't that simple and can't force the others to accept the rule of a stranger. That is, unless he defeats them in a duel, and only then will they accept him. She asks him if he is willing to accept the challenge. Chen Liyi accepts it. After they announce it, Chen Liyi tells them since the queen is injured in camp battle, he won't join either. He sends out Stonebone on his behalf. Stonebone asks who will fight him. Ayun introduces herself, saying she will accept his challenge. They then get ready for the duel. Stonebone tells her to be careful to not get hit by him, and Ayu tells him to not get hit by her eagle. While running at her, Stonebone says he will boil her eagle. Ayun throws her bone knife at him, and he says it is a mere bone knife. Stonebone remembers the king is behind him, and if he dodges, the king will be hurt. He deflects the knife with his axe, easily saying that isn't enough. Then a second knife comes at him, hitting his head. He then tells her if that is then to die as he slashes his axe. One of the spectators takes out her knife and throws it at Stonebone, making him fall down. Ayun uses the opportunity and rushes towards Chen Liyi. Ayun reaches Chen Liyi and tries to attack him, but Stick throws a spear at her, piercing her chest. The other women rush towards Ayun and point their knives at Chen Liyi, asking how they dared to play dirty, and bringing them there is a conspiracy. The atmosphere gets tense, and they tell the queen to give them the order to kill them. Chen Liyi wasn't prepared for an assassination in the plan, and wonders if they want to provoke them into battle. He wonders if it is the queen's command or something carried out without her knowledge. If it is the queen, then he can only control her as a hostage. The queen angrily tells all of them to stop it and asks if they thought their little plot would deceive her. She tells them she will never condone treating friends who helped them in such a despicable way and doesn't want to investigate who all were involved in the assassination plan. She announces that the duel is their loss. The The queen tells Chen Liyi that Isekai'd is the most loyal and brave warrior of her clan. She says if it weren't for her, she wouldn't have abandoned her dignity and pride to do something like that. The queen says she knows he has remarkable abilities capable of summoning miracles. She bows down to him and asks him to be magnanimous to spare her life, and the clan will be forever grateful. While Chen Liyi has a serious look, he is lucky it isn't the worst outcome and is happy that the initiative to control the situation is back in his hands. He notes the hemostatic ointment is down to the last bit. Chen Liyi holds his hand out for the queen, telling her he won't let Isekai'd die since they are allies now. One of them requests him to hurry, since she is fading fast. Chen Liyi decides to ignore the assassination attempt for the greater good, but there still will be punishment. There is no need to make her bounce back immediately and apply enough for her to be alive, and the rest will be used on his injuries. Isekai'd starts to wake up. Chen Liyi tells him to take her back to rest, since she will be fine in a few days. They proclaim it as a miracle, and all of them start to bow down to Chen Liyi. Chen Liyi holds the queen closer to him, asking her if her people can merge into his tribe now, which she agrees to. Chen Liyi starts to laugh, saying that is good, and she can continue leading her people as long as they obey his commands. The queen tells him he has one final request, that he must first become her partner and have a grand ceremony to confirm their relationship. Chen Liyi is starting to get really happy since the gift is falling into his lap. He imagines them holding a wedding, exchanging rings and entering the bridal chamber, then have a daughter, accompany her as she grows older and see her get married, grow old together, and finally depart to the afterlife together. This man has quite the imagination. He finds it sad and beautiful at the same time, and the queen asks him what is wrong, and if he doesn't have to have the partner ceremony. Chen Liyi tells her he does as he hugs her. He tells her to first rest and recover from her injuries, and he needs time to prepare for the ceremony anyway. He tells everyone to disperse and the injured to go back to recover and attend the ceremony in a few days. The system tells him he has successfully established his tribe and to choose a name. He sees that the population is 46 and wonders why it is 4 less. He decides to give the territory a name first and gives it the name Newbie Tribe. Chen Liyi says now he needs to figure out a way to deal with the Bei clan now. He thinks since his injuries have mostly healed, maybe he should go alone and capture a few Bei clan members as prisoners. He face-bombs since he doesn't know if the captured prisoners would count as tribe population. Isekai'd takes the queen away, telling her the king is often like that and she will get used to it soon. He overhears a few members of the Coconut Grove clan talking about how they thought Chen Liyi had gone crazy when he was so happy just now. The other one agrees, saying this kind of disheveled look suits him better, since he has to be like the men who became partners before. Cut into pieces by the queen at the ceremony, Chen Liyi starts to get afraid, since they say she will devour him piece by piece. Chen Liyi is panicking about hearing that the queen eats men. He thinks this is a reason why men are so scarce in their clan. Big comes up behind him, and Chen Liyi gets scared, telling her to not eat him. Big tells him it is just her. Chen Liyi asks her what she wants. Big asks if he is really going to become the partner of that rude woman. Chen Liyi says he might need to reconsider that. Big heard he was going to hold a ceremony with her, and Chen Liyi tells her he was a bit hasty in agreeing to that. He thought he was going to get a bride, but she turned out to be a mantis. Chen Liyi finds life to be really unpredictable as Big picks him up happily. Isekai'd asks Big why she snuck out since she told the injured to rest. Big says she wants to be with the king. Chen Liyi just says he wants to be alone. He also tells Isekai'd to let them participate in the camp construction if they want to. Isekai'd takes Big with her to inform the others about it. Big tells Chen Liyi to consider her instead. Isekai'd asks Big if she isn't afraid of accidentally squashing him. Chen Liyi thinks he needs to talk to her about breaking it off soon. The next day, Chen Liyi gets out of his house and sees Big with people from the Coconut Grove clan taking logs to build some houses. As he looks at the map, he sees everyone is getting along well, and the Coconut Grove clan have started to help with building the houses. He then remembers he must go and talk to her about breaking it off. He goes to the farming area where he is greeted by the members of the Coconut Grove clan. He tells them to not mind him and to go about their business. One of them tells him that the queen is by the river to the north, and she will take him there. She leads him to where she is, and the people the queen is with tells her that the king is there. She tells them all to leave, and as the others leave, they greet Chen Liyi. The question asks if there is something urgent. Chen Liyi tells her he is just there to see how her injury is healing. Her injury isn't serious, and should be back to normal in another 2 or 3 days. She asks if he needs her to come ashore to check for himself, or maybe he wants to taste her in advance. Chen Liyi tells her there is no need for that. He tells her that he still hasn't asked for her name yet. The queen asks if that is all to the nervous Chen Liyi. She tells him he can call her ᴘᴏᴜᴘ. That was the name given to her by the former queen, but ever since she was exiled, no one has called her that. Chen Liyi says to himself it is either eat or be exiled, and they should rename their clan to the Praying Mantis clan. Chen Liyi asks if the former queen had a partner too, and where they are now. She says they have all been eaten since it is their tradition in their clan, and in their partners since it is said to grant more power. Chen Liyi can't believe such terrifying words are coming out of such a beautiful face. ᴘᴏᴜᴘ tells him, but that was a tradition of the previous queens, and she has no intentions of continuing it since it is too inelegant. Chen Liyi asks if that means she has never eaten anyone. She says she has only recently become queen and never had a partner, so she never had a chance to eat anyone. Chen Liyi sighs in relief and tells her to rest up and drink plenty of hot water, and he will go prepare for the ceremony. He is relieved that there is no need to be afraid about being eaten, so he will need to find a good time to talk to Big about this. ᴘᴏᴜᴘ then says that while she doesn't eat people, if someone were to wrong her in the future, she wouldn't hesitate to cut off something excess, scaring Chen Liyi. Behind him, a carrot gets chopped while she remarks that today's dish is especially easy to chop. Chen Liyi, reaching his home, looks at the main quest, seeing he only had 7 days left to increase the population to 50. He decides to first capture a few prisoners to complete the mission first. Stonebone greets Chen Liyi. He tells Stonebone to come there for a second. He says he will be out for a while, and he will be in charge of organizing everyone's work, and if there is an emergency, to find him in the beach at the south. At the beach, Chen Liyi is horrified and wonders what the hell happened to the Bei clan, and if they have all been wiped out. Some birds are on top of the bodies of the Bei clan, and one of them acts like they were the one which made the clan fall. Chen Liyi tells it to get lost, and all the dodo birds run away. Chen Liyi notes since the birds are daring to roam around there, it seems to be safe temporarily there. Looking at the bodies, they still have some elasticity and no stench yet. The battle they were involved in must have ended not too long ago. He notes their claws are exceptionally sharp and the wound matches with the claws. He wonders if they were having an infighting. It would be best if he found a few survivors. He sees a corpse with no external injuries. He sees the man's contorted, agonized expression, suggesting a slow and painful death, and he seems to be entangled with filth when struggling. He thinks Ikeai'd and wonders how people of the Bei clan, who are accustomed to water, meet their end in the sea. He wonders what happened before this. Seeker comes running telling Chen Liyi that it is bad. He asks Seeker what happened. Seeker tells him a group of crazed Bei clan members are wreaking havoc at their place, and Stonebone sent him there. Chen Liyi in a panic runs towards his home. Stonebone tells everyone to be careful and to save their strength for close combat. Stonebone and the others had pierced them with spears, but they are completely ignoring it. Stick asks what is wrong with them since it is like they don't feel pain at all. They start to close in, and Stonebone tells them to not panic, but whatever they do, to not let them drag you in the river since they stand no chance in it. They then rush at Stonebone and his men. Stonebone tells the others to watch out for their attacks. They throw stones at the Bei clan, but they still try to run at them. Stonebone announces their charge is disrupted, and it is their chance to push them back. Stonebone sees the queen's reinforcements are there. She asks him what is going on there. She then sees they are from the Bei clan, and says they were supposed to be living in the southern beaches, and they seem strange. Stonebone tells her he doesn't know, but they are acting like madmen, and they suddenly emerge from south of the river and started to attack them. Considering them as monsters would be more appropriate. Stonebone tells everyone to be careful as they charge once again. Stonebone and the others get ready to take down the invaders. A huge battle ensues. The queen manages to pin one down, asking him if he can talk. She notes something is wrong since they don't seem to be communicating at all. She asks them what they're trying to do. One of the madmen then runs at the queen from behind, and when trying to attack her, Chen Liyi blocks it. Chen Liyi angrily asks him how he dared to attack his woman. He tells ḻ�ᴏᴜᴜ to step back a bit, which she does, and Chen Liyi manages to push the madman back a bit. He notes that it easily withstood his full force blow with the strength value of 3. More come up from behind Chen Liyi, but they are taken care of by Green Vine and Stick. Stick and Green Vine tells them if they want to fight the king, they would have to go through Stick and Green Vine first. Chen Liyi compliments the two, saying they did well, and will leave the small fries to them. He entrusts the queen to help them deal with the rest, because he must focus entirely on the opponent in front of him. Until the outcome of the fight is final, he is counting on them all. Chen Liyi tells him he doesn't know what happened to their clan, but that has nothing to do with them. He asks if they have mistaken the target of their revenge. They have completely lost their reasoning, and he attacks Chen Liyi. Chen Liyi dodges his attacks. He then quickly turns around and goes to attack Chen Liyi again. Chen Liyi notes they have explosive power and quick reflexes. Combined with his sharp claws and teeth, Chen Liyi is just a squishy damage dealer in front of them, because they are in Chen Liyi's territory surrounded by his people. Chen Liyi can't use the hidden skill of his axe casually, because Chen Liyi managed to distract himself. The monster managed to bite Chen Liyi's arm real hard. Chen Liyi manages to let go of his teeth, and he runs back to gain some distance. If it wasn't for the protection of the Bull King's cloak, Chen Liyi's left hand would have been torn right off by his sharp teeth. The cloak's remains are in his mouth, and it infects him, making him scream. He then runs at Chen Liyi again, and it has gotten faster. He manages to take Chen Liyi's cloak and starts to eat it. Chen Liyi wonders how he managed to become so fast, and if he hadn't slipped out of the cloak, it would have been him being chewed on. Chen Liyi realizes he isn't continuing his attack and wonders what he is doing. They then start to run away. Chen Liyi finds it strange since he only ripped off the part of the cloak stained with his blood. Looking around, he observes the Bei clan and sees Wolfbone being surrounded by many people at once. He then realizes it is the scent of blood. The Bei clan is using the scent of blood of prey to lock onto targets, and this smell makes them more berserk and bloodthirsty. They are acting on primal instincts like how sharks go crazy at the scent of blood. He thinks they can make use of that characteristic. Seeker arrives and asks Chen Liyi if there is anything he can help with. Chen Liyi instructs Seeker to take 2 people and bring 3 cubs from the pigsty. Seeker asks if they weren't supposed to be raised for food later. Chen Liyi orders him to do as he says. They are forcing Chen Liyi to sacrifice 3 boar cubs, and he will settle this debt with them later. Chen Liyi tells ḻ�ᴏᴜᴜ to get the injured out of the fight. Seeker and the others bring the boar cubs. He tells them to let the boars run towards the riverbank. As they let go of the cubs, they run towards the riverbank. Chen Liyi calls out to Stick, and Stick throws spears at the cubs. Smelling the blood of the cubs, the people of the Bei clan divert their attention to that. They all then run at the cubs and attack them. Chen Liyi tells everyone to apply paralysis drugs to the spears and to avoid vital parts. Stick tells Chen Liyi they are acting weird again. They start to gag and fall to the floor. Chen Liyi asks Seeker if he poisoned the cubs, which Seeker didn't do. He orders the others to not get too close and be on alert. He wonders what is happening there. In the farming area, a guard tells everyone to be alert. If the people from the Bei can make any strange moves, knock them out immediately. One of the guards notices the people shivering and notes they are awake. One of them reaches out requesting her to help him. She tells the other to inform the king that they are awake. Chen Liyi arrives and asks what the situation is. The people inside the cages ask for water. Chen Liyi asks where that big guy is, and she informs him they kept him separately. Chen Liyi goes to the big guy who is also in need of water. Chen Liyi pours a cup of water on top of him, and he happily chugs it down. He then realizes Chen Liyi was the one pouring it. Chen Liyi asks if he can understand his words, which he confirms. Chen Liyi tells Ayu it is up over now. Ayu pours water on the bug guy. She tells him to drink as much as he wants, and if it isn't enough, she will fetch more from the river. He tells them that his people also need water. Ayu tells him they will all be given water and asks if he is willing to answer a few questions now. The big guy is confused hearing that and asks if they launch an attack on their territory to ask a few questions. He continues that he has heard that the Giant Stone Clan are a group of strange people. He didn't expect them to be that bizarre. Ayu asks if he means they were attacked by the Giant Stone Clan. The big guy asks if they aren't the Giant Stone Clan. Ayu tells him they are the newbie tribe, and the man behind her is their king. The big guy says he has never heard of their clan. He continues that the Giant Stone Clan must have sold them off to some faraway place. Ayu tells him he has got it wrong again. Ayu fills him in that they attacked the territory and never had dealings with the Giant Stone Clan. She tells them they couldn't even communicate at all, so they are temporarily locked there. The big guy says that can't be true since he has no memory of what she is saying. Ayu asks him to tell them what he remembers. The big guy says his name is Blackstone, the leader of the Bay Clan. They used to live around that beach where they used to see salty fish and flower clam fighting. The younglings needed to fight sometimes to build camaraderie. He remembers a kid coming to him, telling him the others took away the dodo bird he caught. Blackstone tells him to learn to fight back, and only when the others fear him, they will not dare to take his things. The kid says it was a bunch of weirdos pointing to them. Blackstone realizes they are the Giant Stone Clan. He asks them what they are doing there. The leader of the Giant Stone Clan orders his people to kill the people of the Bay Clan. They ambush the Bay Clan, and that is all Blackstone remembers. He was knocked out in the fight, and when he woke up, he was captured and can't remember what happened in between. He doesn't even know how his other tribe members are now. Chen Liyi sighs and tells him he visited their territory, and there was no one left alive, and if they didn't spare their lives, the Bay Clan would have been extinct by now. Blackstone in regret cries, since he couldn't protect any of them. Something falls down from Blackstone, and Ayu picks it up. She gives it to Chen Liyi, telling him it seems to be from a plant they haven't seen before. Chen Liyi uses the system to identify it, and finds out it is an industrial hemp, which has pain-relieving properties and can induce hallucinations. Chen Liyi realizes something. They bring water for the people of the Bay Clan and tell them to not rush much, since there is enough for everyone. Just as Chen Liyi thought the leaves collected from the Bay Clan are all the same, an industrial hemp. Seeker once told him the leader of the Giant Stone Clan obtained some sort of divine power, and this god seems to be more of an evil god. This hallucinogenic substance probably made the Bay Clan turn on each other. Chen Liyi notes some clever people realize they can avoid inhaling the poisonous smoke by getting in the water, but in the end, died from exhaustion. He finds the Giant Stone Clan troublesome. He thinks the Bay Clan didn't come there by accident, and if the Giant Stone Clan intentionally let them come to wreak havoc there, it meant his clan has been noticed and also seen as a threat that needs to be dealt with. The strength of the Giant Stone Clan is not to be underestimated, since even Blackstone with his strength became a puppet at the mercy of others. He opens the system and decides to increase his strength as much as he can, since it is only 3 right now. Not just Chen Liyi, but the entire newbie tribe is still too weak. Blackstone still has regrets for his dead clan members. Ayu tells Chen Liyi Blackstone is on the verge of mental collapse and won't be able to answer anything. Chen Liyi tells her they don't have time to wait for him to calm down, since danger may still be lurking around them waiting to strike at any moment. Ayu asks if he meant the Giant Stone Clan, and if they plan the attack on them. Chen Liyi tells her they controlled the Bay Clan with the leaves. He doesn't know when they will attack next or if they will personally join next time. They have too little information on them and are on the defense, so they need to quickly trigger more memories for Blackstone. Chen Liyi tells Blackstone to stop blaming himself, since once they inhale poison smoke, no matter how strong the body, it is useless. He tells Blackstone to look at the leaves and asks if it SDRS any memories. Smelling it. Blackstone says he smelled it vaguely when he was fighting the Giant Stone Clan, but it was mixed with all sorts of strange smells and just felt it was pungent and unpleasant. Chen Liyi asked if they were using multiple types of poisonous plants and guesses they have to figure out the poisonous herbs before planning counterattacks. Blackstone tells Chen Liyi if he is going to deal with Giant Stone to let them join too, because if he doesn't avenge his brethren, he will regret it all his life. The others of the Bei clan also want to take revenge. Although he needs more people to complete the main quest, they are 4 short. Blackstone tells him that their noses are very sensitive. They can help Chen Liyi distinguish and track the poisonous herbs. Chen Liyi is exactly worried about that. They are still sensitive to the smell of blood, and if they get out of control again, the consequences would be huge. Blackstone tells him if it weren't for the poison smoke, they would definitely control themselves. Chen Liyi asks him what if the Giant Stone clan releases the poison smoke during their battle again. Chen Liyi understands their eagerness for revenge, but with anger and hatred nothing will be resolved. Chen Liyi tells him he does have a way, but is afraid he won't agree to it. Blackstone tells him they are the only people left of the Bei clan, and as long as he helps them get revenge, their lives are his. Chen Liyi tells him as long as he assimilates into his tribe and pledges his royalty. He guarantees they will be safe, but not all of them will get the chance to get revenge personally. All of the people agree to it and join Chen Liyi's clan since they want vengeance. Chen Liyi tells Ayu and Wendy to let them out of the cages because they are companions after all. The main quest is completed, and the system gives him an extra surprise gift package since he completed it 7 days ahead of time. Chen Liyi sighs in relief since the most crucial mission has finally been completed. He adds all attribute points into strength. After putting all the attributes in strength, he can feel the power surging in and screams. Chen Liyi's hair grew as a result, and he thinks in terms of strength, he shouldn't lose to any other human. He wonders if his hair growing is a side effect. He checks the rewards. He opens a large material chest and obtains 1 ton of hematite. He finds getting iron or an incredible award since as long as he can create temperatures above 1700 Celsius, he can skip the Bronx =Z age and go straight into the Iron Age. This is the true power of knowledge. He opens the surprise gift pack. He obtains 3 hemostatic ointments, which is great and are way better than the seasoning he got before. He takes out the heritage plaque. The heritage plaque records the product of a certain civilization. Chen Liyi identifies the heritage plaque and obtains the sense of modesty. He guesses it is a crucial step in the development of civilization. He won't have to worry about mixed-gender baths anymore, since he doesn't want anyone else to witness ᴘᴏᴜᴘ bathing. He now needs to think about how to deal with the threat from the Giant Stone clan. Ayu calls out to Chen Liyi and is surprised to see him taller and more muscular with longer hair. Chen Liyi asks her what she needs. Ayu asks him if he needs her to negotiate with the Giant Stone clan to clear up any misunderstanding. Chen Liyi tells her there is no misunderstanding, and they decide to wipe me out. They are the most troublesome opponents they have faced so far, to the point of using tactics like pitting one against another while they sit back and reap all the benefits. Ayu asks him what they should do next, and she is scared. Chen Liyi tells her the only thing they can do is to build the defenses, stockpile food, and not provoke them until prepared. She asks how they should arrange the 22 new people who joined them. Chen Liyi tells her to split them into 3 groups, each participating in building houses, gathering food, and making traps. Ayu asks what traps are and why they need to make them. He doesn't want to go through a surprise attack ever again. By setting up different types of traps according to the terrain, they can avoid repeating mistakes, and if lucky, they might even catch live enemies or wild beasts. He will explain the crafting methods later, but for now he has an urgent task for Ayu. With the increase in population, they need to consider long-term food supply issues. They can't waste all that uneaten meat, so he will teach them all to make beef jerky. Chen Liyi thinks the new people are integrating pretty quickly, and they are great at drying meat as well. Stonebone arrives and asks him if he has gotten taller and muscular with longer hair. Chen Liyi tells him he has a favor to ask. Chen Liyi, drawing on the ground, tells him they need to set up some traps in the surrounding mountains. The denser the better. Chen Liyi already has selected the people to assist Stonebone, and he will teach them how to set up the initial traps. But Stonebone's most important thing is not learning to make the traps, but remembering the location. sᴛ훠 says the task doesn't seem exciting at all. Chen Liyi tells him letting him remember the location of every trap is a sign of his trust, so this should be an absolute secret. Only him and sᴛ훠 should know the place. When sᴛ훠 assigns the tasks, he needs to make sure each person rotates through different areas to set the traps. He tells sᴛ훠 to not let anyone know the trap locations in specific area, because if there is a traitor among them, the consequences would be huge. Once all the traps are set, sᴛ훠 will inform him of the locations of the traps. He tells sᴛthôn to not draw them anywhere and to remember them in his head. sᴛthôn tells him he will live up to the trust Chen Liyi put in him. Chen Liyi tells him to go rest, since they will start working under the cover of night. Chen Liyi leaves the stone in front of his house, so everyone can see it when they pass by. He tells Green Vine he will go rest for a bit, and sᴛthôn and the others will come find him tonight, and if there is anything urgent, to wake him up. Chen Liyi lies on his bed and thinks he doesn't know how much time they have, and there is a lot to do. He needs to train soldiers in different units, build defense structures and arrange patrol teams, develop technology, and expand territory. Chen Liyi wants to cherish the rare moment of rest and recover his strength and goes to sleep. He hears people talking and wakes up. He sees that he is at a banquet. A girl asks him what's wrong and if that is all he got. He takes the beer and says he isn't and asks who the ladies are. She tells Chen Liyi he had too much to drink, and she is Xiaoya and the others tell him they are ლი리안. Chen Liyi screams he has finally traveled back and has no more days of living in the wild. He tells them to keep going while in bed. Xiao tells him it is time to get to work. Chen Liyi tells her he can't do it anymore. She tells him she isn't Xiaoya, Lily, or Dan, but sᴛthôn. Chen Liyi screams and wakes up and asks sᴛthôn why he is there. sᴛthôn tells him that he told him to find him at night, and when he was about to wake him up, Chen Liyi grabbed him and started flirting with him. Chen Liyi tells him it is a misunderstanding, and they should get going while Green Vine is listening to them. At one place, they developed a simple spike trap, because the monsters they are facing are large in size. To make the trap effective, its depth and width must be sufficient and covered with leaves. Chen Liyi tells them spike traps can be combined with the tripwire traps he showed earlier, and it is important to know how to mix and match. He says Stick can also teach everyone how to make other types of traps. Stick tells him he doesn't know any. Chen Liyi tells him to use the moving target he made for spear practice, and just needs to adjust the triggering mechanism. He tells him to replace the wooden log with a net. He will have a net trap. Chen Liyi leaves the rest to sᴛthôn, and tells him to come back after daybreak. Chen Liyi tells him to not forget his other task. He hopes he can continue that dream when he goes back. sᴛthôn tells everyone to listen to him. Chen Liyi reaches back home and thinks by this time someone should have been up and working, but there isn't even a sentry. He wonders if they are sick. When he is going to push a door, he hears a scream telling a hooligan to go away. He opens the door and asks the women what is going on there. One of them tells him their clothes are a little lacking, so they are a bit hesitant to come out. He realizes this is the effect of heritage plaque. He tells them they have half a day to make new clothes, and if they aren't out by noon, they can't blame him for being strict. He didn't expect the stone to have so much power. sᴛthôn tells Chen Liyi he has to see this. While digging for traps, they found stones that light up. When sᴛthôn rubs the two stones together, they produce sparks. Chen Liyi realizes that it is nighter and tells sᴛthôn he has made a brilliant discovery, with that they have limitless possibilities. sᴛthôn leads Chen Liyi to the place where they dug up the stone. Like Chen Liyi expected, they aren't much, since it isn't an arid saline alkali land. And if it isn't naturally formed, there is only one possibility. Chen Liyi tells sᴛthôn to look inside that soil. sᴛthôn checks it and says the soil is easier to dig, and there is something inside that doesn't look like stones. He picks it up and licks it and says it is dung in disgust. Chen Liyi thinks there is likely a fairly large dung pit underneath. He wonders if another group of primitive people once lived there, and they even had reached a level where they had something akin to toilets. Or if it was the old lair of the giant stone clan. Chen Liyi tells sᴛthôn to carry the niter and bury the pit again, leaving traces behind. He also tells sᴛዏᴜnž to set up a few more traps nearby, and they need to build beacon towers in high places and get some people to be on lookout shifts. While sᴛ훠ᴜnž is tweaking out, Chen Liyi leaves. 4 days later, Chen Liyi says everyone has a house to live in now, which is the first step to happiness. Greenvine asks what he means. Chen Liyi tells him it is simple, and by ensuring the people's food, clothing, and shelter, the foundation of the tribe is solidified. Big sees Chen Liyi there and runs at him. Chen Liyi tells Greenvine to stop her, but she manages to jump on him and destroy a house. The sound reaches to outer space. Greenvine asks Chen Liyi if he is okay. He tells Big to get up or else she will be the king. Big hugs Chen Liyi so tightly he spits blood, telling him they just built the houses so he can't die. Chen Liyi tells her playtime is over and asks if she said the houses are ready. Big tells her there are 2 rows of 10 houses, which is enough for 50 people. At this rate, everyone will be able to move into the wooden house in 2 days. He tells Big to keep it up, and he will check back in a couple of days. Chen Liyi tells her to not be reckless like that anymore, and as a punishment she is to fix the house. The flattened Chen Liyi goes to check the food supply. Greenvine asks him if he is okay, and he says he is perfectly fine. Blackstone catches another fish while the others are taking care of the caught fish. Chen Liyi says since the Bei clan started to help, the variety and the quantity of food in the tribe have increased noticeably. Greenvine says it is all because of him. Chen Liyi notices the beacon tower signal and says the South Mountain Beacon Tower is under attack and tells everyone they need to go there now. Chen Liyi turns towards the signal, but even with knowledge of the trap locations and 2-point agility bonus, it will take at least 5 minutes to rush there. He prays nothing will happen in the 5 minutes. Stick sees the triggered traps are very close to the tribe. He wonders if the enemies managed to infiltrate this far. He thinks there are other enemies who have noticed the firelight and could be charging towards him. He decides to find them before they find him. He hears a rustle in the forest and confirms it is an ambush. He throws a spear and tells them if they are planning a sneak attack, to not make so much noise. The spear comes back to Stick, and a man charges at him, and Stick notes he is fast. Chen Liyi is confused when he sees Stick, and Stick asks Chen Liyi why he is there. Chen Liyi asks where the triggered traps are. Stick tells him the triggered traps are just ahead. Chen Liyi goes ahead alone first, and tells Stick to wait for those who are taking the safe route. Stick tells Chen Liyi that there might be more than one enemy, and to be careful. In the trap, Chen Liyi doesn't feel other presences, and with how quiet it is, it doesn't seem like a wild beast. The person isn't calling for help, and wonders if he is alone or lost consciousness. He takes a look and sees ᴘᴏᴜᴜ in the trap, and asks her what she is doing there since she is supposed to be recovering from her injuries. ᴘᴏᴜᴜ asks him if he is going to stand there and just ask questions. Chen Liyi tells her it is quite a rare scene. ᴘᴏᴜᴜ tells him she will kick his ass. He asks if she will kick his ass with those feet as he touches them. He spits on it and slides his finger there. ᴘᴏᴜᴜ tells him to stop and let her down since she is getting angry. Chen Liyi hears the others reaching his place. ᴘᴜᴜ tells him if anyone sees her that she will kill them to keep it a secret. Chen Liyi tells them to stay there and not come closer because the situation is dangerous for them and they will die if they get close. sᴛ훠ᴜᴜnž asks if the king is in an ambush and if they should go in to rescue him. Stick says from his tone, he doesn't seem to be affected, and if there is something he doesn't want them to see. sᴛ훠ᴜnž says he must be taking a dump after the battle, since these days he has been unable to relieve himself in front of others. He says everyone seems to have changed a bit and can't quite put a finger on it. Chen Liyi didn't expect ᴘᴜᴜ to fall in the trap, but now they know that it works. She didn't expect him to know so many strange tricks. Chen Liyi says it is his fault for not telling her about them and asks what brought her there. She overheard a conversation among the Bei tribe in the evening about them needing to catch some fish by the seaside, since eating those would give them energy. Chen Liyi thinks it is because of the consumption of salt. They were talking about how the beach is blocked by a pack of hyenas and is risky to go fishing. This is why ᴘᴜᴜ decided to search for a safe new route during the night. Chen Liyi tells her he walked that path many times, and there were no hyenas 5 days ago, and seems like someone from the Bay tribe sneaked out in the past few days. She asks if they should execute them. Chen Liyi tells her that isn't what he meant, and is thinking about security loopholes they didn't notice before, and should set up patrols. He tells her it is important to clear the way to the beach, and it'll be best to establish a new outpost there. He says the fish and shrimp are secondary, but they definitely need dodo birds and eggs, and also should open a salt field. Chen Liyi tells her after daybreak to tidy up the ignorant hyenas. lik tells him she can handle setting up patrols for him, and he might want to reconsider dealing with the hyenas. Chen Liyi asks her if she is worried about him. She tells him to not flatter himself. She is concerned that their small numbers spreading out to guard 2 territories might be reckless. She continues that the beach was attacked by the giant stone clan already, and they can do it again. Chen Liyi tells her precisely because they have been at the beach already makes it relatively safer now. Their camp, the beach outpost, and the giant stone clan on the southwest mountain range. As long as they ensure a smooth exchange of goods and information, they can support each other. Because they are dangerous people who use things like poisonous smoke, living together in one place makes them an easy target. She has no idea what he is talking about but goes with it. Stonebone and Stick are still waiting for Chen Liyi. After a while, Chen Liyi is with Blackstone. Blackstone asks the kid if he is sure he encountered the hyenas there, since there is no smell of blood. He says they should be around there since he saw several of them 2 days ago, and a hyena attacked them. Blackstone says it is very bold for that, and punches it. They are then surrounded by hyenas. Greenvine tells Chen Liyi to be careful. Chen Liyi tells him to not be worried since the Bay tribe isn't their enemy. Whitestone tells Chen Liyi to have the group on the left and leave the right to him. The hyenas are taken care of by the Bay clan, and Chen Liyi uses this to see what the new recruits can do. One hyena tries to attack Chen Liyi, but he grabs it easily and tells it was bad luck to attack him of all people. The remaining hyenas run away, and Blackstone doesn't find it satisfying. Chen Liyi tells him to keep moving forward. Blackstone tells him their former home is up ahead. Chen Liyi tells everyone to be cautious. He tells them to see the cliff, which is where they will build the outpost. It needs to be close to the cliff and enough to house 20 people, and the beacon tower will be constructed above the cliff. After that, they will need to construct a small salt evaporation field. Next, which he will teach the method of later. Chen Liyi will send people to help after he returns, but they only have 4 days. Chen Liyi feels like a foreman inspecting a construction site and pushing the deadline, but on Earth, he was doing the labor. Chen Liyi tells them if there is an emergency to light a fire and signal help from the camp. 3 days later, Chen Liyi is testing a bow and thinks it isn't bad. The leather string from the black bull hide works well, but takes quite a bit of effort to become proficient, but the wood's resilience is lacking. Seeker is back and has something to report to Chen Liyi. Chen Liyi asks Seeker how it went, and if he found any human tribes to ally or conquer in the north. Seeker says he traveled north for more than a day, but there was no one, and found a lake and snow-capped mountain not far away, where strange creatures live. Before he could see it clearly, it sank to the bottom of the lake, and because further ahead is the snow-capped mountain, he didn't go on and returned. Chen Liyi tells him he did great, and didn't expect Seeker to fear the snow mountains more than the monster in the water. Seeker says the mountains are too terrifying. He says the king must have heard of it. Ayu gets closer to Chen Liyi, telling him she is scared. He asks why they are so scared of the snow mountains. Ayu tells him the terrifying part isn't the snowy mountains, but what lurks behind it. Chen Liyi tells Ayu not to worry, reassuring her that there's nothing to fear. He has triggered a side quest to see a giant with his own eyes. By just observing the giant, he'll earn an attribute point. Since the giant is massive, he thinks watching it from a distance should be safe enough. Chen Liyi wonders if the giants have their own civilization, and if he could possibly ally with them. He remains cautious, knowing that if things go wrong, it could lead to his tribe's downfall. Chen Liyi decides that he can't leave this important exploration and potential diplomatic mission to just Seeker and Ayu. He tells Seeker to take a break and enjoy the banquet in 2 days. Seeker thanks him and leaves to prepare for the celebration. Yu advises Chen Liyi not to worry about Seeker, explaining that he sometimes gets nervous. Chen Liyi suggests that Seeker's heightened sense of danger makes him more sensitive, which allows him to explore freely. He asks Yu how the preparations for the partner ceremony are going. Yu assures him that everything is ready. Chen Liyi then asks her to prepare travel supplies for a few people, as he plans to lead a small expedition. Yu, concerned, asks if the expedition will be dangerous. Chen Liyi downplays the risk, saying it's just to explore the nearby area and to prepare basic supplies like food, water, and warm clothes. She asks when they will leave, and Chen Liyi says they will depart the day after the banquet. 2 days later, Chen Liyi tests a shield in his home, ensuring it's both strong and light. He is satisfied with the shield and now has 62 technology points. With the weapons he's created, his people will soon be able to upgrade their equipment. There's a knock on the door, and Chen Liyi invites the visitor in. Yu enters, telling him that it's time for the banquet and hands him a coat to wear. Outside, everyone congratulated Chen Liyi. The partner ceremony is just a wedding ceremony. In his old life, Chen Liyi was striving hard just to make a living, but now he has his own tribe and a wife. It feels like a dream come true for him. Chen Liyi, touching ḻ�ᴏᴜᴜ's hands, tells her in the future, when he isn't around, the newbie tribe will be in her hands. He announces from that day onwards, ḻ�ᴏᴜᴜ is the queen of their tribe. Big Big also cheers for them. Even though she doesn't want him to be taken away by someone else, she finds the scene touching. At night, everyone starts to leave. Chen Liyi sighs in relief since nothing went wrong. Yu tells Chen Liyi that the queen is waiting for him in the palace and he should go. Chen Liyi gets wild imagining things, and as he enters the place, he thinks it is something more exciting. He enters the place and is bewildered by the atmosphere there. He wonders if someone is going to die. ḻ�ᴏᴜ tells him she will give him a chance to tell her himself. He asks what she wants to hear. She takes out her whip, telling him he is still pretending. Chen Liyi regrets upgrading her whip. She asks him if he is in such a hurry to leave her to go on a journey right after the ceremony. Chen Liyi tells her she got the wrong idea, and he explains her everything. She asks if his plan is to convince the giants to join them against the giant stone clan. Chen Liyi isn't sure about that, and to be safe he wants to bring 3 more people with him. The true purpose of the trip must be kept a secret. He isn't sure why, but Yu and Seeker were quite fearful of the giants. ḻ�ᴏᴜ asks him if it wouldn't be better if she joined. Chen Liyi tells her on of them must stay with the tribe, and she has much more important things to do, as he brings out a sling. Chen Liyi tells her it is a stone sling, and will demonstrate how to use it later, and needs her to train a stone sling team by the time he is back. Chen Liyi went on the journey with Yun, Stick, and Blackstone. Chen Liyi looks back at Yun, who ignores him looking at her. Chen Liyi thinks she is purposefully walking behind him to find another opportunity to ambush him. He decides to forget about it since it was ḻ�ᴏᴜ's wish to have her with him. ḻ�ᴏᴜ told Chen Liyi to choose from Coconut Grove and the Bay Clan. Chen Liyi tells her he planned to bring Blackstone, while the beach outpost will be in temporary command of Stone Bone. Taking Blackstone will also prevent trouble from the newly joined Bay Clan while he is away. She tells him he must take Yun with him to Chen Liyi's shock. ḻ�ᴏᴜ tells him Yun is the fiercest warrior by her side, and her injuries have healed. She assures Chen Liyi that she already taught Yun a lesson for the last incident, and he can rest assured. Back to present. Chen Liyi can't feel at ease while Yun is staring at him like that, and if anything goes wrong, he will have to count on Stick to rescue him. Stick says he feels like something is looking at him, and wonders if it is his imagination, and brushes it off. Chen Liyi tells to himself that the threat is right behind them. Blackstone asks Chen Liyi if he knows there is a lake up ahead. Seeker mentioned it to him. Blackstone says that Seeker has probably seen that big fellow then. Chen Liyi asks if he means the lake monster. Blackstone tells him when he was a child, he saw a leopard being swallowed in a blink of an eye. Blackstone was amazed by it, even though he was so small back then. He says if they are lucky, he may have a good fight with the monster. Chen Liyi tells him encountering such a monster doesn't sound lucky at all. Chen Liyi says monsters like lake creatures doesn't matter much to him, and would be more interested if they encounter something more formidable like giants. Hearing that makes Stick a bit uncomfortable. Stick tells Chen Liyi to not expect such things. Chen Liyi asks if there really are giants. Stick tells him before they met Chen Liyi. They were originally a tribe of over 30 people, but one day a giant appeared. They were powerless to resist and ran in all directions, and most people were eaten alive. It happened when he was very young, but one who survived will forget that horrifying scene. Chen Liyi notes that his wise seeker and the others tremble at the mention of giants. Blackstone warns everyone to not eat the fruit since when he ate them when he was young, the consequences were severe. Chen Liyi takes a closer look at it and finds out it is a croton tigelium, which is poisonous. Chen Liyi tells him the plants there seem unfamiliar and wonders if there are any useful ones around. He looks around and identifies all sorts of plants, but all of it grabs his attention, telling them this place is a medicine garden. After looking for a while, he finds a flower that seems familiar, and it is a proso millet. Chen Liyi celebrates in finding that since he found grain seeds. Because of that, he triggered a side quest to plant more than one type of grain in bulk and harvest them. Chen Liyi thinks they can finally enter the era of farming, and once they find clay they can cook, make herbal medicine, and more. Since it wasn't mature yet, he will come back to harvest it later. Chen Liyi has been having a strange feeling since a while ago, and looks back to see Yun in a combat position. Stick points at something. Chen Liyi looks at the direction, and finds the plants that can be used to make ropes, fabrics, and paper. Chen Liyi praises Stick for finding something great. Stick tells him he isn't talking about the grasses, and to look at the bushes. A group of hyenas come out of the bush, and Chen Liyi says they must have been following for a long time. Taking out his axe, Chen Liyi says they are probably there to seek revenge on him and Blackstone. Chen Liyi tells them to eliminate the hyenas there. They all prepare themselves for the fight against the hyenas. Two of the hyenas jump at Blackstone, but he manages to hold both of them. While Blackstone smashes the two hyenas, Yun strikes another hyena with her knife. She notices two more coming at her, but they get stopped by Blackstone, who threw the two hyenas he was holding at them. Blackstone finds it satisfying and tells Yun there is no need to thank him for that. The hyenas start to run away. Chen Liyi tells him to not let them run away because he doesn't want to be ambushed again and again. They all run at the hyenas. Chen Liyi manages to barely keep up with them with his 2 points of agility. He doesn't think it is a good decision to keep chasing them. He hears Yun scream and turns around to see her mid-air, trapped by some vines. She is being tied by the crimson king flower, which consumes nearby animals. The oily substance surrounding them is the corrosive mucus. They are starting to further and further from Chen Liyi's understanding of the primitive ages. Yun tries to free herself, but the plant makes it so her knife falls out of her hand. They see that the bone knife is easily dissolved by the plant shocking them. Chen Liyi tells Stone Bone and Stick to hurry and save Yun. It isn't that they are refusing to help her, but they are also caught by plant. When the vines start to wrap around Chen Liyi's legs, he uses his axe to tear through them. He rushes towards Yun. Yun, who is above the plant's mouth, tells Chen Liyi to not save her, but the others an escape. She gets eaten by the plant, and Chen Liyi rushes towards it. He needs to save Blackstone, and Stick at least. He then gets attacked by two hyenas, but they get stopped by Blackstone, who throws two horns at them. Blackstone tells Chen Liyi to not get to them, since it is a trap set up by the hyena. Stick tells him to run, and they will stall the hyenas. Chen Liyi notes that the vines aren't fast, but it is the hyenas who are taking advantage of their speed to lead them to trap. Seeing all of the dead trees, Chen Liyi takes a gamble. Chen Liyi throws a niter at the trees, since there is no living creature that can't be killed with fire. It lights up and starts a fire, and Chen Liyi starts to slash at the plant to get Yun out. He manages to let Yun out of the monster. Chen Liyi, holding Yun, asks her if she can move since time is running out, and he needs her help to save Blackstone and Stick. They manage to save Stick and Blackstone, and they start to run away. While running, Chen Liyi shoots fire arrows at the trees. They won't worry about having to deal with the hyenas anymore and run towards the pond. Chen Liyi instructs them to jump in the water to be safe. One of the hyenas is right behind Iyun. Chen Liyi warns Iyun to watch out. When the hyena grabs onto her coat, he grabs Iyun's hand and removes her coat. The hyena manages to tar the coat and bite Chen Liyi's arm. Chen Liyi, while holding the hyena, tells the others to run away since the fire is spreading quickly and he will be right behind them. Chen Liyi thinks the hyena is using the last of its power and he just needs to wear it down before fire reaches them. The hyena gets stabbed to the throat by an arrow which Iyun launched. The system shows Iyun's talent is archery, which she just learned. Iyun learned it by observing Chen Liyi earlier. She tells him she has twisted her ankle, so she can't make it out and for him to go ahead. Chen Liyi asks her what she is saying, and they are escaping together. He makes Iyun climb on his back and runs behind Stick and Blackstone. The fire makes it so the trees fall over. Blackstone tells Stick he still has the strength to toss Stick over. Stick tells him there is no need for that. While Chen Liyi is running, Iyun tells him she planned to kill him. She tells him that he was the one that planned the Black Bull attack on her clan. Chen Liyi asks her why she thinks that. Iyun noticed some of the bulls were already injured, but their weapons couldn't cut through them. Seeing his people being adept at fighting the bulls, which increased her suspicion. She knew those suspicions won't convince the queen, so she tried to assassinate Iyun. Holding a knife at his throat, Iyun tells him if she attacks now, he won't be able to resist or he could leave her there to get rid of her. Chen Liyi tells her to deal with him later after they live, and he will let it go for now. Iyun warns him if he tries to betray the queen or her clan, she will kill him. They jump into the water and poke their heads out of the water to look at the destruction they caused. Chen Liyi decides to give up on finding the giant for now because two of them are unable to move. He tells them they will go back to the place where they found the plants, and they will need those herbs. At that place, after applying some of the herbs on Stick's leg, he doesn't feel any pain. Chen Liyi tells them to rest, and he and Blackstone will gather more Raimi. While gathering the herbs, Blackstone can smell the scent of hyenas. Hearing that, Chen Liyi looks over the bushes to see a few hyena pups there. Seeing that, Chen Liyi realizes the hyenas weren't attacking them, but protecting their children. He triggered another side quest to tame the hyenas to become hunting dogs. He accepts the quest and takes the hyena pups with them. They then hear loud roaring in the place, which shakes the ground. Chen Liyi says they can't be that unlucky as a bear reveals itself. Stick tells them it is a man-eating bear and it is coming for them. With two injured people, they can't outrun it. Chen Liyi tells them to get back and he will keep it busy. He tells them to not argue with him since they will slow him down and they only have one chance.